At the start of senior year, a new teacher nicknamed Baby Teacher transferred to our class, whose mannerisms were incredibly childish and spoiled. Before each class, the entire class had to chant "Your Highness, please begin the lesson," or she would refuse to teach. If the sound of turning pages disturbed her nap, she would burst into tears, accusing us of bullying her. She even created a nanny duty roster for the students, assigning them to give her daily shoulder massages, leg rubs, and restock her snack cabinet. In just 1 month, our class went from first place to dead last. I protested, but she was emboldened and unafraid. She forced me to run laps on the playground even with a 40 degrees Celsius fever, which caused me to collapse. I was sent to the hospital, but resuscitation efforts failed and I died. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day she first transferred here. Tap, tap, tap. The closer the sound of high heels got, the more I broke out in a cold sweat. All eyes were fixed on the classroom door. A young female teacher, wearing an extravagant Lolita-style dress and high heels, walked in. She placed her lesson plan on the lectern. A manicured finger tapped lightly on the desk. "Starting today, I'm your new homeroom teacher. What are you supposed to say before class begins?" Seeing no one respond, she pursed her lips. "You're supposed to say, 'Your Highness, please begin the lesson.'" The whole class burst into laughter. Only I swallowed quietly, my throat dry. In my past life, Pixie's arrival brought my life to a complete halt just before the college entrance exams. Now, I've been sent back to the very day she transferred here to become our homeroom teacher. In this life, I will make sure she pays in blood for what she did and gets kicked out of the exam prep class. Class president, why aren't you calling out the greeting? Pixie's high-pitched, nasal voice rang in my ear. I snapped my head up at the sound, only to find everyone's eyes fixed on me. Before I could even explain, Pixie let out a soft huff, squatting down and wrapping her arms around her knees. "Class president, you don't even care about me anymore. Am I not your favorite little princess anymore?" She stood up, stamped her foot, and with a pouty face, said in a delicate, tearful voice, "If you don't say it, I won't teach the class." The whole class exchanged glances and, with resignation, finally stood up to chant the slogan. And there I was, standing at my desk, forced to join the bizarre, repetitive chant of "Your Highness, please begin the lesson." When class ended, her triumphant gaze swept over me, as if flaunting everyone's adoration for her. Having learned their lesson, the entire class conscientiously followed her rules. The next day, to everyone's surprise, she pulled another stunt. "Class, this is a special relaxation track, personally curated by yours truly." Pixie pulled out a pink Bluetooth speaker and pressed play. The classroom was instantly filled with the sound of dripping water mixed with an electronic hum. Propping her cheek lazily, she said, "I didn't sleep well last night, so I'm putting on some music to help me relax. You don't mind, do you?" Before she even finished speaking, she let out a yawn herself. The students below exchanged bewildered glances. Senior year of high school is the final sprint. Everyone wishes they could split every minute in two to make the most of it. Who in their right mind would listen to sleep-inducing music during the prime morning class hours? 5 minutes later, the steady sound of snoring drifted from the teacher's desk. Pixie drooled in her sleep, the red mark from her pressed cheek perfectly overlaying the words "teacher's ethics and conduct" on her lesson plan. Smacking her lips, she mumbled, "Keep making a fuss, and I, your princess, will deduct all your conduct points." The classroom fell deathly silent in an instant, leaving only the persistent tick-tock sound playing from the speakers. Seeing this, the students seethed with silent fury, not daring to speak up. I had no choice but to quietly get on with my self-study. The soft rustling of pages turning in the classroom rudely interrupted her sweet dream. "You're disturbing the princess," she said, lifting her head with utter impatience in her voice. "Can't you study any other day? I didn't sleep well last night, so what's the big deal about cutting me some slack? Wah, I came all the way here first thing in the morning to teach you, and you don't appreciate me at all." Pixie pouted, stomped over to Maya, snatched her test paper, and tore it to shreds. She put on a whole show, throwing a tantrum she thought was utterly adorable, like a furious kitten. "Class monitor." Maya shrank back in her seat, casting a pleading look my way. Pixie followed her gaze to me, her eyes instantly welling up with tears. "You again." Ignoring everyone's attempts to stop her, she charged over. She grabbed me by the collar and angrily yanked me out of the classroom. "Admit it, you told them to study just to pick on me, didn't you?" I pulled her hand away forcefully and replied, "This is prime study time, everyone just wants to get ahead." Before I could finish, the door slammed shut. Her sobbing followed immediately. "You're just jealous that everyone dotes on me, you're envious, that's why you're always targeting me." It was the same in my past life. She made an example of me right away, using me to establish her authority with the whole class. She slandered me in front of all the teachers, claiming that as class monitor, I was leading others to ostracize her. With that black mark on my record, my eligibility for the scholarship was revoked. She even gave the final nomination slot to her lackey. I caught a glimpse of the academic committee supervisor on patrol out of the corner of my eye. I realized it was the same old trick again. She's dreaming if she thinks she can frame me. I pinched my thigh hard, then cried and pounded on the classroom door. Miss Pixie, I was wrong. Please, let me back into the classroom. The door was flung wide open, making sure everyone could see me. Pixie crossed her arms, her tone haughty and imperious. This is what happens to anyone who dares disobey me. I nodded quickly and hurried forward to bow in apology, but my legs gave way, and I ended up kneeling on the floor. In my panic, my hands shot out and grabbed hold of Pixie's skirt. 2 grimy black handprints were glaringly stamped right on it. Ah! Pixie's shriek echoed through the entire classroom. This is my limited edition cosplay outfit. Class president, you're the worst. I was sprawled on the floor, frantically apologizing as I scrambled backwards on all fours. She grabbed teaching aids from the lectern and hurled them at me in a frenzy. The blackboard eraser whizzed past my head and struck the head teacher square in the face. The air froze. What on earth is going on here? I hurried forward to explain. It's my fault, headmaster. I didn't listen to Professor Pixie. I shouldn't have been reading in class and disturbing her nap. I'll pay for the professor's dress. I beg you, please don't expel me. The head teacher looked Pixie up and down as I spoke. His already flushed face grew even more furious, and he hissed under his breath. What on earth do you think you look like, dressed like that? What happened to the teacher's code of conduct you were supposed to learn? I had thought Pixie would tone it down after the head teacher's reprimand, to my surprise. She looked hurt and said, "How can you still talk about the baby like that?" Then she muttered under her breath, "I'm telling Dad, you're all ganging up on me." Even though she whispered, I heard every word clearly. It's bad enough she's irresponsible, but how dare she gamble with the futures of an entire college prep class just to polish her own reputation? I lowered my gaze, hiding the hatred in my eyes. The next second, Pixie yanked me right in front of her. "I'll teach the class on one condition. She has to get out of my baby class. This class has no room for students who defy teacher baby." Pixie stated it as an absolute fact, pinning all the blame squarely on me. "Really, Ms. Pixie, you're agreeing to have Nina transferred out of your class?" The moment she finished speaking, Ms. One from the neighboring class immediately piped up. "Teaching a student like that would taint my very aura." Pixie shot back without even looking up, completely ignoring the homeroom teacher's pointed glare. Upon hearing this, Ms. Wang immediately took me by the hand and led me towards her classroom. I remembered from my past life how Ms. Wang, disapproving of Pixie's actions, spoke up in our defense, only to be deliberately targeted for revenge. Not only did she lose her job, but her lifelong reputation as an outstanding teacher was also ruined. This time, she was helping me openly and without reservation. Once Pixie learns the truth, Mr. Wang will have it even worse than in his past life. With that thought, I tightened my grip on Mr. Wang's hand. "Don't worry, Mr. Wang. With my top-ranking scores in the unified exams, I'll definitely study hard in your class. Getting into Tsinghua or Peking University will be a piece of cake. You'll be all over the news. Everyone will envy you for teaching such a brilliant student." My voice grew louder, but my footsteps slowed. "Hey, wait a second," just as I expected. Pixie called out to us. A faint, knowing smile played on my lips. There was no way Pixie would pass up an opportunity for both fame and fortune. I turned to face her. "What is it, Miss Pixie?" She darted over to me and yanked me away from Teacher Wang. "A bad guy like you can only be tamed by me." Pixie shot Teacher Wang a dirty look, then pointed at me and said, "From now on, my name is the only one allowed on your thank you banquet for teachers." Fuming, Teacher Wang pointed a trembling finger at her before being led away by the head teacher. Back in the classroom, I had more opportunities to gather evidence. I compiled all of this into a dossier and mailed it anonymously to the Education Bureau. Just as I was happily awaiting the results of the investigation into Pixie, she started teaching her classes with renewed seriousness. With a flourish, she wrote 2 large characters on the blackboard, "Feudal," using these 2 words as your title. "Write an 800-word essay and hand it in." She scanned the entire classroom, her gaze lingering on me for a moment. Could it be she noticed something? I saw her slip out of class with her bag, so I secretly followed her. Rounding the corner, I overheard her complaining on the phone. "Don't worry, Dad. I've got all the evidence right here with me. They won't be able to make a move, so that's why the complaint went nowhere. So she's the one holding all the cards." I returned to my seat and began brainstorming frantically. It seems anonymous reporting alone isn't enough. We need to draw more attention to this. I readjusted the hidden camera on the desk. A cold sneer echoed in their mind. "So you want fame? Let me help you with that." That very night, the hashtag Sleeping Beauty Senior Year Princess Teacher quietly began to trend. In the first video, Pixie was sleeping soundly, her head tilted to the side. The background noise is my stern voice saying, "Quiet." Don't disturb the teacher's nap. The video racked up 50,000 likes overnight. The comment section went wild. Is this a school or a hotel? Someone should submit this for the Guinness World Record for longest nap. Teacher, you don't need to teach me how to sleep. I can do that myself. That alone would have been enough to grab the internet's attention. Little did anyone know, she was about to provide even better material. That day, Pixie walked into the classroom right as the bell rang, followed by 2 students carrying boxes. This is my royal snack reserve, she said, pointing to the corner by the podium. Then, she casually stuck a sheet of paper onto the blackboard. I took a closer look. It read Pixie Princess Babysitting Roster. This is the duty roster. The person on duty each day is responsible for restocking. The whole class erupted in an uproar, and I timidly asked, Teacher, what are we restocking? She counted on her fingers. A Starbucks iced Americano in the morning, macaron pastries in the afternoon, and for the evening, let's go with some steak from a 5-star hotel. With that, she turned and walked away without a backward glance. Just as she was about to leave, she paused, turned back, and gave a playful wink. And don't you dare sneak a bite from this princess's snack stash. If I catch you, the princess teacher is going to be furious. I tightened my grip on the pen in my hand, sneering inwardly. I hope you choke on it. The next day, Pixie arrived unusually early. She sat at the teacher's desk, surveying the snacks her classmates had brought to replenish their supplies: Black Diamond ice cream, imported truffle chocolates, caviar-flavored chips. The teacher's desk was absolutely packed with expensive snacks. She couldn't stop smiling, even taking a video to show off in the parents' group chat. Thank you, my dear students, for all the snacks. This princess is very pleased. How thoughtful of my sweet students, feeling sorry for their busy teacher and not having the heart to wake this princess up. At the end of the video, she actually added all the parents, saying, Dear parents, please remind your little ones to bring a parasol tomorrow for the outdoor activity. Your teacher is afraid of the heat. If I get sunstroke, there'll be no one left to teach the class. The group chat fell silent for a few seconds. Then, a flood of messages poured in. Is this a homeroom teacher or the Empress Dowager? This isn't a class, it's more like paying tribute. No wonder my kid keeps coming home asking for this and that. It all ends up as offerings to you. Pixie remained completely unfazed by the parents' questions. Please respect the teacher's teaching style. When parents called the school with feedback, they were met with only the standard corporate line. Pixie continued to do things her own way. It's even worse than before. Now they're openly demanding luxury goods. I've also been secretly taking turns using my phone to record videos of her sleeping in class, playing on her phone, doing her makeup, and accepting gifts. Every single upload gets a significant amount of attention. It didn't blow up until it went viral and gained some traction online. Only then did Pixie start to panic. She called me into her office, her face dark with anger. This is yours, isn't it? She threw a figurine down in front of me. My heart sank. That was the hidden camera on my desk. Pixie raised her foot and crushed the figurine to pieces, revealing the memory card inside. I connected it to the computer, and the image on the screen slowly came into focus. All right, class. For this English listening exercise, looking through the whole thing. It's all English listening exercises. I grinned and asked, Teacher, do you like English too? With a face full of frustration, she muttered to herself, if it wasn't you, then who else could it have been? What an ungrateful bunch. Seeing me still standing there, she waved her hand impatiently. Still here? Are you waiting for me, the princess, to have you carried back in a royal sedan chair? I obediently turned around and closed the door. From behind the door came the sound of her furious screaming. I touched the hairpin on my head and sneered inwardly. Something this important. Of course there's a backup plan. Was the classroom robbed or something? My notes are gone. Has anyone seen them? Whose book is this? During what should have been our morning reading session, our classroom descended into total chaos. A wave of panic hit me, and I immediately rushed to the principal's office. It turned out Pixie, unable to figure out who secretly filmed the video, had decided to turn the classroom upside down in a frantic search. She threw everyone's belongings out into a pile. Ms. Pixie, that was the result of the students' hard work over several years. Why would you do such a thing? I stood at the lectern and confronted her. Yawning, she said dismissively, this princess was just helping the class clean up their trash. How did I manage to get that wrong? Do you have any idea how many years of hard work that represents from your classmates? Maya exclaimed, her face flushed with emotion as she rushed forward to confront them, only for me to grab her by the arm. What do you think you're doing? Are you trying to hit a teacher? With a sharp glare, Pixie immediately pinned a serious accusation on Maya. Maya's face flushed crimson, utterly furious, her gaze darting back and forth between the few of us. Finally, she ran out of the classroom in tears. I was worried something might happen to her and wanted to run after her. I'd barely taken a step when she shouted to stop me. Nina, as the class monitor, you can't even protect your classmates' belongings. What good are you? Go run 10 kilometers outside. Don't you dare come back to class until you've finished. A classmate spoke up in my defense. Teacher, What does this have to do with the class monitor? It was clearly you who, Teacher Pixie. The class monitor is still running a fever. It's pouring rain out there. This is just punishing the students. The room was filled with a chaotic din. Pixie's expression grew increasingly grim. She yelled for quiet, slamming her hand on the lectern several times. One more word from anyone, and you'll be running laps with her. As soon as these words were spoken, a chorus of agreement rose from the crowd. I'm not running. Why should we have to do everything you say? I don't want to spend another day in this class. Me neither. I'm applying for a leave of absence tomorrow. Studying at home is better than putting up with this nonsense. The students all started talking at once, venting their anger. How dare you disobey me? Are you trying to start a mutiny? Do you want to fail this class? I can make it happen. Her face turned ashen with rage. She actually had the nerve to threaten us with that. Left with no choice. I gritted my teeth and dashed out into the rain. I had only run a few steps when I heard a commotion behind me. I turned to look and saw nearly the entire class crowding around me. Class president, we're with you, Nina. You can't have all the fun to yourself. Yeah, it's been way too long since we've let loose like this, they shrieked, hurling their school uniforms into the air, laughing and shouting. They ran on ahead of me. My eyes grew warm. And for a moment I couldn't tell if it was rain or tears. The commotion from the sports field drew the attention of other classes who were doing their morning reading. They all turned to look, leaning out of their windows. Pixie saw that things were spiraling out of control. She then gave the order for us to return early. Pressing a hand against my pounding heart, I quietly called for an ambulance from the corner. Then, everything went black, and I collapsed limply to the ground. When I opened my eyes again, everything was a blur of sterile white. The sharp scent of disinfectant filled the air. My classmates were all around me, lying in beds with 4 drips. I learned from them that half the class had been rushed to the hospital with fevers after getting caught in the rain. Especially in my case, I even received a critical condition notice. If not for the timely emergency treatment, I probably wouldn't have made it. I tugged at my parched lips. In my past life. That's exactly how I lost my life. At that thought, I gritted my teeth. Pixie, your arrogance won't last much longer. Upon learning of this, the Parents' Association could no longer sit idly by. They wrote a joint letter and took it straight to the principal's office. Several class leaders, including myself, were called into the office for questioning. Principal, this is a teaching issue with Miss Pixie. We need to deal with this seriously. A parent produced a joint letter detailing Pixie's various bizarre behaviors, 15 instances of sleeping in class, 8 unexcused class cancellations, 20 requests for gifts. The principal smiled as he poured a cup of tea. It's perfectly normal for young teachers to have innovative teaching methods. It's all about connecting with the students and understanding the children better. Then how do you explain these videos? The head of the parent committee handed the videos to the principal. The principal's face darkened instantly. This is a violation of portrait rights. I could expel these students. Seeing the parents' displeasure, the principal's expression softened. He pointed at me and said, "This is their class monitor. The child is right here. You can ask him for the details." The principal beamed at me with a wide smile, but there wasn't a trace of warmth in his eyes. "Nina, you need to answer the questions truthfully. If you can't remember and start saying things you're unsure of, it'll be difficult for me to handle later." I looked around. Everyone was staring at me. I glanced at Pixie. She sat there, fidgeting with her hands, completely indifferent to what was happening around her. "Principal, are you threatening my daughter?" My parents pulled me behind them, shielding me from the principal's gaze. The principal gave a low chuckle. "Of course not. I was just impressing upon Nina the seriousness of the matter." My mother jabbed a finger in Pixie's face and yelled, "My daughter has a 39-degree fever, and you made her run laps in the rain. She could have died. Is that not serious enough for you?" Pixie's eyes welled up with tears. She failed in her duties as class monitor. What's wrong with a little discipline? Then she shifted her tone. "Besides, they were the idiots who chose to run with her. What does that have to do with me? Some of the parents here have children still lying in the hospital." Hearing her say that made my blood boil instantly. What kind of thing is that to say? Are you even fit to be a teacher? If we don't get a proper explanation for what happened today, we'll see you in court. The principal immediately stepped in to smooth things over, saying, "The school takes this matter very seriously and will absolutely provide a satisfactory resolution for everyone." After seeing the parents out, the principal promptly herded the rest of us back to our classrooms. The heavy weight in my heart finally lifted. This time, we're definitely going to get her disqualified from the college entrance exams. Just as I had expected, the school announced their decision. Pixie was suspended for serious disciplinary violations and ordered to reflect on her actions. For several months after that, I didn't see a trace of her. Her cosplay outfits were finally gone from the classroom. and the click-clack of her high heels was heard no more. The school assigned us a new teacher. Just as everything was slowly getting back to normal, she returned. You think you can trip up this princess? How naive. She stood on the podium, looking down her nose at everyone. They effortlessly shattered the hard-won fighting spirit of the class. Some students reported this to their parents. The parent committee confronted the principal, who stood there with a protruding belly, looking smug and self-satisfied. Due to a teaching error, Ms. Pixie has been demoted from homeroom teacher to a regular subject teacher. That's already a very severe disciplinary action. She's still young. Parents should be more understanding of teacher Pixie. When I found out, I scoffed. If everyone is understanding towards her, who's going to be understanding towards us? The college entrance exam is a fiercely competitive battle, a life-altering event. It's not some trivial game like she makes it out to be. After school, I deliberately lingered for a few extra minutes. I saw Ms. Jiao slip into a Porsche, touching up her makeup while on the phone. Dad, you really came through this time. Those troublesome parents. Oh, just take them out for a meal and be done with it. The car window wasn't fully closed, so I recorded that entire conversation, crystal clear. Not long after, the audio clip was leaked online. With a little steering from certain parties, and combined with previous events, it gave netizens endless room for speculation. Doesn't seem fake. They should look into this thoroughly. A fresh graduate in their early 20s, but with 8 years of teaching experience. Did they start teaching in high school? Agreed. For all we know, their qualifications might be fake too. The online discussion shows no signs of stopping. The scene on the ground was just as chaotic. Someone was kneeling at the school gates, holding a banner, their clothes tattered and worn. Oh, just an honorable officials, please open your eyes and see us poor, suffering souls. My child was bullied by a teacher, got drenched in the rain, and developed a fever. They're still in the ICU, and we have no money for the treatment. Piercing cries and wails drew a crowd of onlookers. Among the crowd, some well-meaning people were filming and narrating on their phones, as if afraid no one would understand what was happening. Ma'am, please get up first. Let's talk this through properly. Stop getting in the way of people trying to get to work. A security guard came out of the building and helped the person up, right in front of everyone. Once the crowd had dispersed, his expression suddenly changed. Go on, get out of here, go cry somewhere else. Don't you know what kind of place this is? The security guard shoved the elderly woman backward with force. She stumbled a few steps and fell to the ground. The stark contrast in his demeanor left her momentarily speechless and wide-eyed. You, I'm going to report you. She had just pulled out her phone when he snatched it from her and smashed it to pieces. Get lost, or I'll beat you to death. The security guard threatened, brandishing the baton behind his back. Under his threat, the middle-aged woman left, looking back over her shoulder with every other step. In the car parked in a hidden alley, the middle-aged woman took off her wig and sat with us. Did you get it all on camera? The other person nodded. She checked the transfer record, her face crinkling into a smile. Sweetie, next time something like this happens, remember to call your auntie. Your auntie is a professional when it comes to being an extra. I reviewed the video content and posted it online without any editing whatsoever, just as expected, riding the wave of the previous buzz. This video blew up fast. Overnight, the internet pieced together Pixie's family background with crystal clarity. It turns out she's the headmaster's illegitimate daughter. No wonder the headmaster was so protective of her before. The buzz around this story just won't die down. I stroke my chin. Looks like we've been automatched with teammates. Quite a few people have their eyes on the principal's position, facing widespread criticism. Pixie went live with beauty filters to diligently prepare lessons in an attempt to clear her name. As soon as I heard the news, I immediately went into the live stream. There was Pixie, putting on a show by changing into a teacher's outfit. The lesson plan on the desk was written out neatly and meticulously, but I could tell at a glance that it wasn't her handwriting at all, since she wants to put on a show. Then I'll expose her for who she really is. The teacher is beautiful, but her sleeping pose at the podium is even more stunning. What's your favorite snack? Teacher, Ms. Pixie, my child loves playing in the rain. Would they be a good fit for your class? Instantly, the live stream's comment section was flooded. Public opinion took a sharp turn for the worse. Seeing this, she played an edited classroom highlights clip, only for parents to notice the background clock showed the class had only been in session for 3 minutes. But that wasn't all. Sharp-eyed netizens noticed that the display cabinet behind her was filled entirely with expensive, high-end luxury items. Just as I zoomed in to get a better look, the live stream suddenly cut off. Thanks to the relentless efforts of netizens, this matter has garnered significant attention from the relevant authorities. On the day the Education Bureau came to inspect, Pixie, for once, wore light makeup and paced the hallway clutching her lesson plan. The moment the inspection team entered the school gate, the principal just happened to take them to observe her meticulously prepared open class. The PowerPoint presentation was exceptionally well crafted. Her classes weren't even worth attending. The moment the inspection team left, Pixie immediately reverted to her true self. Come here, give me a shoulder rub. Don't just stand there. My legs are still sore, you know. She tossed her lesson plan into the air with a sigh of relief. Finally, the show's over. The pages fluttered down, landing right on the investigator who had just returned. Her face turned pale, then flushed with color. She stammered, "Sir, let me explain." The investigator's face darkened. "You can explain yourself to the Education Bureau." Pixie was escorted away, supported by the investigator behind her. Panicking, she blurted out to the principal in desperation, "Dad, I don't want to be investigated. Save me, Dad." I turned my gaze towards the principal, following the sound of his voice. His expression remained unchanged, as if he didn't recognize me at all. The investigator's suspicious eyes darted back and forth between the two of us. I knew it. He suspected there was some connection between us, too. My mind was racing. This isn't over. There's no way Pixie could afford all those haute couture gowns on her salary. Not even if she were the headmaster's secret love child, even on a principal's salary. She couldn't possibly afford that kind of lifestyle. Could there be something else going on here? I mentioned my suspicion to Maya, and she immediately volunteered to look into it. "Don't worry, my brother just became a police officer. He'll get to the bottom of this for sure. Hard work pays off." With her brother's help, the truth slowly came to light. Pixie's academic credentials were fake. In reality, she hadn't even graduated from junior high school. A person like this was packaged as a top-tier teacher, constantly circulating among major prestigious universities. The sole purpose was to gather information on wealthy students and those with specific needs in the class. By accepting gifts, she would convert various luxury items into cash. When encountering wealthy students who needed to boost their grades, she would also charge a procession fee for altering exam papers, falsify their grades to make them look impressive. Every time someone filed a report, the principal would be the first to know and have it swept under the rug. At first, Pixie showed some restraint. Over time, she grew emboldened and acted without fear of consequences. This time, in the principal's own school, she was growing increasingly brazen and lawless, and with me stirring the pot in the middle, their shady dealings were finally exposed. The day the investigation concluded happened to be a rare weekend. My classmates and I stood in the crowd, watching Pixie being led into the detention center. Through the crowd, her eyes instantly locked onto us. We exchanged a glance and shouted in unison, "Get lost, Your Highness, this is all your fault, you wretches. A teacher's kindness is greater than heaven itself. Is this how you repay your mentor?" She was screaming her lungs out, as if she wanted to tear me limb from limb. I curled my lip in a sneer. A teacher with less education than me, glancing at the police car beside us. I twisted the knife. "Teacher Pixie, you can spend the rest of your life in prison continuing your princess teacher act. I'm sure the inmates will play along nicely." "What do you mean?" Her eyes widened, filled with utter disbelief. "I just scammed a bit of money. I'll be out in a few years. How could I possibly spend the rest of my life in prison?" It seems she still doesn't know. My voice was tinged with glee. "A few years ago, when you were teaching at Sanjung High, you led the bullying of a student. Not only did you order them around daily, but you also subjected them to constant psychological manipulation. She was already suffering from depression, teetering on the edge of a breakdown, and you had the gall to encourage her to end it early for relief. Now she's formally charging you with intentional homicide." With every word I spoke, the color drained further from her face. By the end, all expression had vanished from it, muttering to himself, "How could this be? How?" I only said a few extra words. "Her own willpower is weak. What does that have to do with me?" I shook my head. Even now, she still refuses to see the truth. Words can cut deeper than any blade, leaving wounds you can't see. Her voice grew louder, rising to a hysterical shriek. "You pack of vultures. Now that I'm down on my luck, you all come to kick me. Why don't you just drop dead? Where's my father? He promised he'd fix everything for me. Where is he? Useless." Pixie struggled violently, and the two auxiliary police officers could barely hold her down. She screamed for the principal to save her. Little did she know, the principal had been taken even further, into the interrogation room. Principal Fong has long abused his position of authority to accept bribes, deceive his superiors and subordinates, embezzle education funds, and falsify his academic credentials. Any one of those charges would be enough to land him in serious trouble. Moreover, he even corrupted internal staff at the Education Bureau to act as his inside accomplices. With the combined penalties for multiple crimes, his sentence will be no shorter than Pixie's. All I could hear was Pixie's stream of curses. Suddenly, a pair of hands quietly covered my ears, blocking out the foul language. I turned my head. It was Maya. She said to me with a bright smile, "Class president, let's not listen to that. It'll dirty our ears." I looked past her. My gaze settling on the classmates behind her. This is our final year of striving together, and the most meaningful one. I am profoundly grateful for my own rebirth, and for having protected them along the way. This time, we should all give it our all and charge toward our own futures. The siren wailed as it sped past me. It kicked up a gust of wind that seemed to blow away the gloom hanging over me. I felt a great sense of relief wash over me. The school appointed a new principal, who set about overhauling its discipline and ethos. The story of Pixie and her father was held up as a cautionary tale, broadcast on a 24-hour loop to serve as a wake-up call for the education sector. Pixie's story continued to gain momentum online. It sparked a nationwide wave of public exposure. Following the leads, the relevant authorities investigated a number of bad apples. Everything is getting back on track. To make up for the time we lost, our new homeroom teacher has created a special review plan. Everyone in our class will have to put in 100 times more effort than before to recover what we've lost. In 2 months, 90% of our class will get into top-tier universities. I swaggered home, brandishing my acceptance letter from Tsinghua or Peking University. Now I was truly the princess of the household. Story 2. My mother refuses to listen to reason. I was up for a promotion during the confidential review period, but she went around bragging about it. She even used my ID and bank card to accept a 1,000 yuan bribe. I not only lost the job opportunity but was also banned from taking any exams for 5 years. When I confronted her, my father and brother accused me of being ungrateful and called me an old dog that only barks at its own family. I ended up with stomach cancer, and the doctor said I needed immediate chemotherapy. The only way to stabilize my condition was to stick to a congee diet. My mother took advantage of my inattention and transferred all my money away. She kept making me seafood congee and grilled food every day, telling me to just accept my fate and let the illness take its course. In the end, I begged them to let me get treatment, but they used all my savings to buy a new house and kicked me out of the home. I eventually died alone in a rented apartment. When I opened my eyes again, I knew I had to make sure Mom would take them all down equally. When the public notice list came out, I finally realized it wasn't a dream. I had been reborn. In my past life, Mom insisted on taking my phone to look through it. I was up for a promotion and told her to keep it confidential during the announcement period, but she went around bragging about it, even used my ID and bank card to accept a 1,000 yuan bribe. As a result, I got fired and was even banned from taking any exams for 5 years. I was absolutely furious and asked her, I told you not to trust them. Why did you go behind my back and do it? Even if you never listened to me normally, why did you have to screw me over this time? She looked completely innocent and said, Mom didn't know any better. I just wanted to make some extra money for you. I was about to say something when my brother kicked me to the ground. You're incompetent at your job, resorting to underhanded tricks, and you still have the nerve to blame Mom. 1. I couldn't accept being laid off right when my hard work was finally paying off, and it led to me developing stomach cancer. The doctor warned the family the patient should be hospitalized for chemotherapy and eat plain congee daily to stabilize their condition. She took advantage of my inattention to transfer all my money away, then kept grilling food for me every day, trying to make me accept my illness as fate. In the end, I begged them in tears to get me medical treatment, but they used all my savings to buy a new house and kicked me out. I was writhing on the floor from stomach pain, pleading with them through sobs to get me treatment, or I would surely die. My mother started slapping herself, saying there was no money for treatment and that she might as well die instead. My dad said, It's your own fault for not eating properly. Your mom means well, and that doctor is a quack, diagnosing stomach cancer at first glance, just a scam to get your money. Anyway, if you're sick, no amount of money can cure it. Just stay positive and fight the illness. I might as well use the money to buy a house for the family instead. Lance even made fun of me. Look at her groveling like a dog. After hearing their decision, I stopped eating and drinking. My condition worsened over the months, and I ended up starving to death in my rented room. Screaming, I overheard Dad telling my brother that I didn't appreciate Mom's good intentions, but Mom had caused them plenty of trouble before, and I always caught her in time to stop it. Now that I'm back, they'd better not cry when Mom's whip comes down on them. Only after hiding all my documents and changing my passwords did I truly feel alive again. This time, I'm here for the show. Mom not only can't understand plain talk, but she's also a seasoned manipulator who loves to stir up trouble. When the results came out, my brother, the top scorer in the Gaokao, wanted to study nursing at a second-tier university. I repeatedly urged my mom not to let him go there and insisted he should attend Peking University instead. She agreed without hesitation, but ended up secretly letting him submit the application anyway. After I found out, she hugged Lance and said, I just wanted to help Lance fulfill his little dream. After graduation, Lance might as well be sweeping the streets. My dad knew but still defended my mom, saying she didn't mean it, and besides, she just wanted to make Lance happy. After my brother learned about the job market, somehow this turned into him thinking I didn't want the best for him, that I was jealous he could fulfill his childhood dream and that I shattered it, so he grew more distant, even resentful. Convinced I was taking advantage of his good nature and that I deserved nothing but misfortune, all the men in the family always side with mom. This time I'm going to play devil's advocate. I really thought things would go smoothly this time. I even changed all my passwords, but just as I let my guard down, a relative called me out of the blue. "Dawn, heard you're up for a promotion. Your mom told us all about it. Your cousin's future job prospects are in your hands now." My hands were shaking with anger. During the probation period for the official appointment, I repeatedly emphasized, over and over, not to blab about it to anyone. Why did she have to go against me like this? I held back my temper and asked her when I got home, "Did you go around telling people about my upcoming promotion? Didn't I tell you to keep it confidential?" Confidential, though she was again with that all too familiar look of wounded pride, her eyes downcast as she dabbed at non-existent tears with trembling fingers. Why would I keep it to myself? If I had good news, I'd share it. What ill intentions could a mother possibly have toward her own child? I was seething with rage. She was still trying to talk her way out of it and whitewash her actions. She lives in her own world with her own set of rules. She completely ignores whatever anyone tells her. The more I try to stop her, the more she does it. Damn it, isn't it common for relatives to screw each other over? Besides, I know exactly what kind of relatives she's got. They're all the type who'll bleed you dry when you have something and kick you when you're down. At that thought, I decided to give her a warning. "So, don't you dare ask about anything that has to do with me. Just stay out of it. Are you just not getting what I'm saying, or are you actually incapable of understanding basic human language?" I hadn't even finished speaking when my dad rushed over and kicked me. "How dare you talk to your mother like that? That's outrageous. What do you mean your mother doesn't understand human language? She only has your best interests at heart. If it's good news, why would you need to hide it?" Too, my brother chimed in, "Honestly, Dawn, you've got no conscience at all. Mom cares about you so much, and yet you say such hurtful things." I watched them talking in unison, all united in their anger. It was downright ridiculous. Mom's inability to understand what people say isn't just directed at me. I won't stand in their way this time. I'm curious to see how this all plays out, anticipating what Mom might do next. I swallowed my anger and apologized. "Mom, I'm sorry. It was my fault for not understanding your true intentions. Now I finally get it. Only a mother's love is unconditional. A child without a mom is like a blade of grass without roots. You must have had my best interests at heart." They both nodded in satisfaction. "Absolutely. Mom is the anchor of the family. Without her, the whole home loses its warmth." I'm quite pleased too. I hope they hold on to this anchor and never let go. I promptly went to the hospital for an endoscopy, which revealed some abnormalities in my stomach. I cooked a small pot of plain congee at home, forbade anyone from adding anything to it, and stood guard in the kitchen, but Mom wasn't having it. She started banging on the door like crazy. The door suddenly flew open. "Dawn, I'll add some dried oysters and shrimp to your congee." I covered the pot lid. "No need." She pried my hand open and asked, "Is a handful enough? My stomach's been acting up. Eating will just make it hurt. I just made a pot of seafood congee. Come out and have some." We were completely talking past each other. She kept chattering in my ear, getting in the way and basically trying to keep me from cooking the congee properly. I couldn't take it anymore, so I blasted music from Douyin to drown her out, saying, "Mom, I can only have plain congee. I've told you, I can't eat seafood." Mom ignored me and only tightened her grip on me. "Why won't you eat? I went through all the trouble of asking your aunt to bring this from Hong Kong, and I spent so much effort cooking it." The noise disturbed Lance, and he slammed the spoon I was holding onto the floor. "Dawn, are you trying to get yourself killed? Why on earth would you piss Mom off for no reason? She was talking to you nicely, and you're giving her attitude. Nobody here owes you anything." I realized this wasn't just about serving porridge. It was her way of testing my obedience. She just loves pushing people's boundaries, basking in that superior I'm the elder mentality. I let out a cold snort. "What? Do you think you're the only one who needs to eat? You're not the only one who gets annoyed, you know." Lance scratched his head in frustration and yelled at me. "Mom got up so early to make you porridge, and this is the attitude you give her. Did I even ask her to make it? Stop guilt-tripping me right now." Mom still insisted on pushing the seafood porridge toward me. "Dawn, try this. It's my cooking, really delicious, just like the ones you get outside." Just the smell of it made me nauseous, but I kept a straight face. "Thanks for your concern, Mom." Then I closed the door and poured the seafood porridge into the trash. I don't want anyone to ruin my good mood first thing in the morning. More importantly, I want Mom to think she's truly capable of winning everyone over. 3. Mom is getting old and useless. She's still muttering in the living room, upset that I haven't shown her enough gratitude. Seeing that I had no intention of comforting her, she walked back into the kitchen. "Dawn, I'm here to do the dishes for you. I coldly refused from the kitchen. No need. Please don't come in for now. She stood there by the glass door, looking helplessly at her son as Lance, red-eyed, kept pounding on it. What's with the drama? Can't even wash your own dishes. I'm still trying to take care of you, and this is the attitude I get. Keep it up and you can get out. I smirked bitterly. If I hadn't been waiting to see you get what you deserve, I would have left long ago, in my past life. After I got sabotaged during the probation period, I was terrified Mom would pull the same stunt on Lance. I kept a close watch on her, and that's the only reason he eventually made it to Deputy Squadron Leader. This time I'm not interfering. Who knows what Mom might do when she passes by my brother's room. It's been a struggle getting through all these days. Early this morning, I spotted a shadowy figure darting out of the kitchen, crouching low. I peeked through half-closed eyes and realized Mom was trying to sneak something into my plain congee again. I didn't stop her, just quietly watched her antics. Only after she'd fully stirred the powder into the congee did I stretch lazily and walk over to talk to her. Mom, I'm ready to serve the congee. She gave me an ingratiating smile. Honey, your congee looked so perfect this morning, but my menopausal brain got the best of me. I accidentally added seafood to it. You're not mad at Mom, are you? That was supposed to be my meal for the whole day. If you put seafood in it, what am I going to eat? Didn't I tell you to keep your hands off my congee? Mom was still murmuring excuses. How was I supposed to know you had work today? What are we going to do now? Seeing you eat nothing but plain congee every meal while your father doesn't even bother to get you proper dishes. Guess that's the difference between biological and stepchildren for you, even at this point. She's still stirring up trouble, never confronting issues directly. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack or punching a cushion, utterly futile. That's exactly how that idiot Lance got duped. She's still making excuses for herself. I made barbecue for you today. Mom thinks it's much tastier than your plain congee. Enough with the yelling. What's all the fuss about? It's just a bowl of plain congee. What? Is it wrong for your mother to give you something extra to eat? Dad had been out all night drinking, gambling, and womanizing, and the moment he stepped through the door, he started meddling in family matters. If you mess up at work over a simple bowl of congee, it just shows you're not cut out for the job. You deserve to get fired. I stayed silent, and Mom could tell I wasn't about to back down. She made a move as if to slap her own face. I'm sorry. It's all my fault, Dawn. Please don't be angry. I was wrong. I'll get down on my knees for you right now. She was sobbing and wailing so loudly that Lance woke up. He came over and shielded his mother. What's with the attitude all day? Did I ever treat you like this? Even young animals show gratitude to their parents. Look at you, throwing a fit over a simple pot of congee. After saying that, he slammed the entire pot of congee onto the ground. I stood with my arms crossed, watching his performance, waiting for him to finish smashing it before I said anything. Go on, smash it. Put some real effort into it. It's just plain congee, isn't it? Why don't you check if this is the pot you cooked? Mine's already packed up. Since your stomach hurts, just eat the stir-fried beef for fun with chili that Mom made for your interview. Please don't take it to heart with Mom. Lance's mind went blank, like a chicken with its neck wrung. Rendered speechless, a few shriveled shrimp and some dark, cured fish dropped out of the congee, making the whole scene even more absurd and ridiculous. Moments later, his furious voice echoed through the air. Everything was fine. Why did you put something in my plain congee? I turned and went back to my room, drank the congee, and embraced the promise of a new day. I hope both Lance and my father are ready to face the consequences they deserve. This is just the beginning. While I wait for the final results, Lance should start preparing for the campaign. Mom and Dad were over the moon, eagerly awaiting the return of the grand prize. Right before setting off, the three of them excitedly boasted about their good fortune and even took a group photo to post on social media. For caption, "The best people are right beside you. The harder you work, the luckier you get." They thought I'd be heartbroken, but honestly, I've been itching to escape this ridiculous family for days now, but never seeing them get what they deserve would haunt me for the rest of my life. After they brought Lance back, they started making snide remarks to me. My dad sank into the couch, scraping dead skin off his feet. Some people are just born unlucky, can't hold a candle to my son, but my son's different. Even fortune tellers say he's so charming that people adore him. Cars stop for him, and even coffins would pop open for a look. Mom chimed in agreement. I've got a surefire way to get him promoted to deputy squad leader. I raised an eyebrow at that. Mom really lived up to my expectations. When I got back, I quietly found my mom and told her, "Mom, thank goodness you played along with Mabel and accepted her 1,000 yuan transfer. I wouldn't have made it otherwise." She fell into thoughtful silence for a moment, probably planning to use the same trick on Lance. They were already envisioning Lance as the future county party secretary, orchestrating the development of the entire county. My dad got more and more carried away, picking up his phone to arrange a lunch gathering where he planned to brag all about it. Just as he stepped out brimming with confidence, Lance came back right after, looking utterly dejected. He was drenched in sweat, as if he'd just been pulled out of water. His face was deathly pale, his eyes shooting a fierce glare at me. After a long pause, he finally gritted out a sentence through clenched teeth. "Why did you accept money from others on my behalf?" I shot him a dirty look. "Stop trying to pin the blame on me. I never collected any money for you." He wiped his face and demanded, "If not you, then who? Who else would be this despicable? In this house, you're the only one who wishes me ill. I'm calling the police. Drop dead. I've never done anything to you. Why are you trying to ruin me?" He kept shouting outside, convinced I had set him up, and even tried to charge at me. I flipped the switch on the bug zapper, and his hand sizzled with a jolt. The shock left him dazed and disoriented, his eyes red with rage. He yelled, "How dare you do this to me? You've always had it in for me since we were kids. Now there's unexplained money in my account. I lost my job, and I can't even take any exams for the next 5 years. Are you happy now?" I waved my hand wearily. "I've explained myself enough over the years. Fine, if you say I've got it in for you, then so be it. But don't you dare lay a hand on me today." He grew even more furious, and when he saw our mom coming out of the house, he was on the verge of tears. I'm the troublemaker at home, but thankfully mom still dotes on him. Rushing forward, she called out with a voice trembling on the verge of tears, "Lance, you're back. How did it go?" "Mom just gave them your ID and bank card. Did you get the promotion?" His expression froze, and he stared at his mother for a long moment. "Mom, was it you who gave them my information?" "Yes, what's wrong?" He slumped against the wall like a deflated balloon, sliding down to sit on the floor. "Why would you do that? I just got to the office with terrible stomach pain, and they accused me of taking bribes. They fired me on the spot. I won't be able to take any exams for the next 5 years. I'm finished." He sat on the ground, covering his face and refusing to look up. Mom said that same line again. "I only want what's best for you, so you can have a better life and more financial security." This time it was his turn to beat his chest in frustration and yell at his mom. "Didn't I tell you not to mess with my stuff? Are you even listening to me? Your mother only wants what's best for you. You should appreciate her good intentions. If you were capable of making your own money, would she even have to do this?" I coldly recited the lines he said in his past life. He was slumped against the corner like a puddle of mud, and no matter how hard Mom pulled, she couldn't get him up. In the end, I sat with him in the corner, crying together while slapping my own face. "Lance, Mom didn't mean to." It's such a relief that the needle didn't prick me. When Dad pushed the door open and came back, he saw Mom holding my younger brother, both of them crying. "What's going on?" "You're crying away all the good luck in broad daylight," I kindly explained to him. "Mom accepted a 1,000 yuan bribe on Lance's behalf. Lance got fired, and he probably won't have a shot at a civil service job anymore." I thought Dad would fly into a rage, but he just pondered for a moment, lit a cigarette, and said to Lance, "It's such a small matter, don't take it to heart. Your mom didn't mean it." Just as Lance was about to argue, he added another sentence. "I've just made arrangements with someone, for 100,000 or so. I can get you directly into a well-paying job with great benefits. Don't worry about your future, just wait for your dad to pave the way for your success. A daughter is like water spilled on the ground, you can't take it back, but everything I do for you." Lance was overwhelmed by the praise, torn between joy and sorrow, his face contorted with emotion. I couldn't help but burst out laughing, and my dad shot me a look. I quickly explained, "Dad, I'm just happy for you. You and Lance are soaring to great heights, while I'm just here hoping for a chance to even carry your shoes. Mom is the seasoned educator in our family, always thinking ahead. Compared to her, I'm not as skilled or polished. I'm not cut out for the big leagues. Anything important the leadership assigns should definitely be handled by Mom." Back then, my dad always loved inviting leaders to stay at our house, even if I gave up my bed and room, slept in the living room, or squeezed into the kitchen or a makeshift tutoring space. I never got any appreciation for it. This time, I'm just not going to get involved. After a moment's thought, my father decided to give up his own master bedroom. "Lance's mom, you really need to put in some effort. Remember to use the money to buy a nice bed, make sure they're well fed and comfortable. Lester's family only enjoys reading classics, not fairy tales. Just recommend accordingly when the time comes." Upon learning about this, Lance perked up with renewed energy. It was as if he were already the county magistrate. My father stopped going to work, and the two of them spent their days counting down on the calendar, dreaming of bringing honor to the family name. I poured him some tea and brought it over to eavesdrop. "Dad, what exactly can Lester's family do for us?" He was bragging while picking his teeth. "Do you really not know what kind of family background Lester's family has? Countless people have tried and failed to get them to come back. Only I can have what it takes to bring them home. You're just licking boots at your job, while Lance is different. All he needs to do is become county magistrate." They're completely lost in their dreams of climbing the ranks and striking it rich. "But I know Mom is bound to stir up trouble." "Mom, You better not let me down. 5. The day Lester's family came had finally arrived. My dad kept showering Lester with compliments, and right after tea, he asked me to go check on Mom, who was tutoring someone. Mom came upstairs carrying a few children's versions of classic literature for extracurricular reading. When my dad saw this, his face fell, and he made an excuse to pull Mom aside, saying he needed to grab something. Didn't I tell you to prepare properly? Weren't you supposed to help them improve through tutoring? Yet Lester didn't mind at all, flipping through the fairy tale book with eyes full of wonder, praising his mother, sister-in-law. You truly have an extraordinary spirit, such a fascinating soul. Having a virtuous wife at home is worth more than all the gold in the world. I was hoping that after he lived through it, he'd still be able to compliment it later. Hearing that Lester was satisfied, my dad's expression brightened up. And he immediately switched into doting husband mode. To be honest with you, when a man marries, isn't it the soul he's really after? Their business flattery was getting more and more in sync, and it looked like the deal was about to be sealed. I urged Mom to hurry up and start the tutoring session. Lester, sit still. We'll start with The Princess and the Pea today. Lester and my dad rolled their eyes at the sight of the fairy tale book. Mom was still reading aloud with smug satisfaction. Ken, I highly recommend this fairy tale book. Those classic literature works are useless. They're just for cramming exams. I think students should stop chasing grades, because that's just parents being ignorant. So, we can't go on like this. Lester almost choked before even finishing listening, collapsing on the floor. He saw a whole shelf of brand new fairy tale books looking down on him judgmentally, passed out cold again. Lester's son pressed his philtrum, and he finally came to. He turned to leave, and when my dad tried to stop him, the other guy's son beat him until he was bleeding from the head. He came back wielding a knife, slashing everything in sight. The TV, the fridge, shattered and smashed to pieces. Still seething with rage, he turned the knife on Mom and demanded answers. Are you deaf? I told you to get the classics. The classics. My dad was so furious he nearly had a stroke on the spot. I told you, classics, classics, what's wrong with you? I spent over $100,000 just to get a tutor to come to our home, pulling every string, greasing every palm, and this is what happens. With just a flick of his wrist, he could make our entire family vanish tonight, all within the bounds of the law. Honey, my dear wife, are you trying to destroy me or what? Because of you, Lance lost his job, and now I'm out of work too. Do you even understand what we're saying, Mom? Still lost in her own world, explained with a hint of grievance. Why won't you read them? I scoured all of Taba to collect these fairy tale books. Each book has unique content, filled with profound life lessons. How are they any different from classic literature? If you don't trust me, why did you entrust this to me in the first place? My dad got a taste of what it feels like to be betrayed by someone close for the first time, holding my mom's arm. I stood in front of my dad and reassured him, Dad, you're in the wrong here. Mom was just trying to save face for you, wasn't she? Why can't you understand and appreciate Mom's good intentions? Encouraged by the support, Mom became even more animated and went on about why Lester couldn't just accept the fairy tale. He took one look at me and just lost it. And you're a grown daughter. How could you not keep an eye on your mother? Just let her run wild like that. Mom's going through menopause and isn't thinking straight, but are you blind, deaf, or just plain useless? Ugh, he clearly knows it's Mom's fault, but he's still taking it out on me, trying to make me the scapegoat. What a devoted couple they are. I rushed to the balcony, grabbed a broom, and swiped it over his head. Got an itchy scalp. Maybe it's time to grow a brain. He just had some drinks and was too weak to resist. So I knocked him to the ground with the broom. He glared at me furiously. Is this how you show respect to your own father? I stared at him with a blank expression. That's right, I'm your devoted daughter. Ken, let's cut ties. My father looked at me as if seeing me for the first time, yet he couldn't bear to lose face completely. I yelled, fine, we're done, get out of my house tonight. In the end, I ended up staying at a fancy hotel that night, waiting for news about my promotion. Right after stepping out the door, I ran into Lance. He looked me up and down with a mocking sneer. Oh, thought you were so great, didn't you? All talk and no action. Got kicked out. Still not too late to go back and beg for forgiveness on your knees. Little did he know his dream of becoming county magistrate had been utterly shattered. I spat right in his face. We'll see who's really all talk in the end. Lance came home and asked my dad with a grin, Dad, where are those two from Lester's family? I brought them a roast goose and a Thai golden pillow durian. Cost me a fortune. Why did you buy all that? You only know how to waste money, but you don't know how to earn it. Starting tomorrow, you're going to collect scrap to sell. When I was your age, I was much more accomplished than you. He was completely baffled by the scolding. But after my dad explained, he immediately flew into a rage. Mom, didn't Dad say that Lester's family doesn't read fairy tales, only classics? Are you even listening? Mom looked at him, puzzled. But you said you'd read anything good. Fairy tales are amazing. I even reserved this copy 2 weeks in advance. Why is Lester's family so harsh? Mom is stubbornly trying to show off her intellectual airs. Only when her husband and son ignored her did she belatedly realize something might be wrong. But she would never reflect or correct her mistakes. She only resorts to her three-step routine: apologizing, fake crying, and threatening to end it all. Left with no other options, Lance was forced to start scavenging for a living the very next day. Meanwhile, my father stayed home all day drinking and smoking, alternating between binge eating and refusing to eat or drink for days. Eventually, he developed pancreatic cancer and needed surgery. It was only when he needed care after the operation that he finally thought of me. My father called and started bossing me around like it was his God-given right. "Dawn, do you even care about your old man anymore? Mark my words, if you dare not come over, I'll sue you for elder abuse and make you the laughingstock of the town. 6. Get over here now, you're a woman. If you treat your mother-in-law like this someday, you'll be thrown out and utterly humiliated." I hung up the phone, ready to go see him make a fool of himself first. "Sure, sue me, but you'd better hope you live long enough to enjoy the payout." In the hospital room, my dad was propped up in bed. When he saw me show up empty-handed, he pursed his lips. Mom was busy non-stop, tirelessly attending to His Highness. It was all just a futile effort, like buying barbecue for the ghosts. Amidst it all, I could hear my father's curses. I took off my shoes and just stared at him. He rolled his eyes at me and spoke as if granting me a favor. "Why aren't you taking over for your mom? Let her lie down and rest. What's the point of going to that worthless job? You don't understand basic human decency at all." I stayed silent, and Mom lay down on the sickbed and fell asleep. He started rambling and asked me, "So, what's the news? Did the results come out? You didn't make it, did you? I told you, as a woman, you don't need to push yourself so hard. You're not even as good as my son Lance. I got the promotion. The public notice period is over." I told him, word by word, that I was promoted. I stared into his eyes, as if trying to see right through him, to see just how disgusting his thoughts could be. If it hadn't been for my mother's interference in my past life, if he hadn't let her hurt me without restraint, I would have had a bright future. He was speechless, probably never expecting that I could achieve more than Lance. You stammered for the longest time, unable to get a word out. Mom answered the phone, sprang to her feet, and rushed out the door. "Honey, I've prepared a hearty meal for you. Ken, you should eat something. You need nutrients after surgery." My dad glanced hesitantly at the food. "Didn't the doctor say I need to avoid certain foods after the operation? Why did you prepare barbecue? And all this high-protein chicken, duck, and eggs? Did you forget again? It's fine to have a little. Here, let me feed you. Don't listen to the doctor. Food is fuel for the body. You need energy to recover properly." I watched as my mother hand-fed him. He obediently ate half a dozen grilled oysters, half a chicken, and a whole duck. After she finished feeding him and went out to take out the trash, I gave him my most sincere smile. I leaned close to his face and asked him, "Ken, do you believe in karma?" He shot me an irritated glance, his eyes filled with annoyance. "I'm your father, you idiot. I'll beat you to death. Karma. I caught it early and got treated. I'll outlive you, mark my words. Let me tell you, this is what you call abundant blessings and virtue passed down from our ancestors. Hand over the money now. We've found a 180 square meter apartment we like. The down payment is $800,000. Pay it immediately. Your mother and I are moving in." I cut him off calmly. "It's the kind of retribution where a life is paid with a life. Are you scared?" With that, I slipped on my slippers and walked out. He was still yelling curses at me from behind. "I'm your father, your God, you worthless daughter. Just wait till I'm out of this hospital. We'll see who ends up dead. Get back here and take care of me, now." He suddenly fell silent mid-sentence, crouching on the ground and gasping desperately as if struggling for air. On my way out, I ran into Mom and leaned in to whisper in her ear, "Your husband is going to die because of you. Do you realize that?" She heard the urgent code blue alarm from room 409 ringing incessantly, watching doctors and nurses rushing by with hospital beds, her face gradually paling. I patted her on the shoulder and walked away with a bright smile. Just as dusk fell, the news came that Ken had passed away despite efforts to save him. Prolonged overeating after pancreatic cancer surgery is not advisable, unfortunately. His wife just doesn't get it. Why should I be the one to remind her? They're all getting what they deserve. Isn't that just perfect? Lance didn't seem particularly moved by my father's death. 7. He came back for the funeral with a boy named Felix. As Felix was eating, something seemed to click for Mom. "Felix, I grew these eggplants myself. Won't you try some?" Lance held her back and said, "Didn't Felix say he's allergic to eggplants? Have you forgotten again? It seems my brother knows everything. He just doesn't care until the knife's at his own throat or the fire's at his feet." Mom still came back after a while with a plate of eggplants, or sometimes blended them into eggplant juice. Felix isn't exactly the patient type. I closed my eyes, bracing for what would happen next. Felix suddenly charged out with a slipper in hand and smacked it right onto the plate she was holding. "Eat, eat, eat. Is that all you ever think about, if you love food so much?" Why don't you just turn yourself into a trash can and take in everyone's leftovers? Are you out of your mind? Or is your mouth a machine gun? If you can't understand plain English, go get yourself checked instead of being an eyesore here. I've had enough of you. Is this pig your mother? Or your father? Call the British Museum and tell them their pig head is fake. The real one's on your shoulders. Have them stab you on my behalf. Are you a plastic bag, so full of crap? 1,000-year-old green tea, are we? Well, I'm the universal piss grave, and I'm not buying your act. Mom's lips trembled, completely stunned by the barrage of words. She started wailing at the top of her lungs about not wanting to live anymore, with Felix grabbing her sleeve as her hand nearly went into the socket. Come on, you said you wanted to die, didn't you? Just stick your hand in there. I guarantee you'll be stone cold dead in under 5 minutes. Stop dawdling and wasting time. Too scared now, huh? Then quit your damn posturing, you pathetic coward. With my father gone and Lance being a useless coward, there was no one left to speak up for her. Felix quickly packed up his belongings, shot Lance a death glare before leaving. What are you dawdling for? Stay here, and you'll be the next to die. Lance dashed after Felix like a shot. Wait up, baby, only Mom and I were left. Those words drained her completely. She snapped at me. My head is killing me. Get me some water. I cleared my throat pointedly and handed her a glass of iced cola. Mom, are you really that thirsty? If you're thirsty, just drink the cola. I pried her mouth open with both hands, popped the cap off, and poured the cold drink down her throat. It scared her into a frantic scramble. The ice-cold cola shot straight up her nose. Mom, drink up. I just took it out of the fridge. It's perfect for this sweltering summer day. Mom, there's something oddly satisfying about not understanding a word and just watching someone lose their cool. Seeing her choke until she was nearly suffocating, I let go of my grip. It wasn't worth risking my own life for her. I watched helplessly as she missed the critical window for rescue, then made a hollow call for emergency help. She had grown old and eventually became partially paralyzed. The doctor said even if she pulled through, she'd be half a vegetable, so I drained her pension and put her in the most basic nursing home. The caregiver had to be a man to handle her 5 feet 1 inch frame and 176-pound weight. He was decent enough to handle the dirty work, but during baths, his gaze would linger too long, devouring her naked, pale body with a sticky, lovesick stare as he wiped her down. In the nursing home, she was so frantic and helpless that she could only scream nonsense. With so many people in the room, who would bother with a stranger they weren't even related to? So every time she saw me, it was like she'd spotted her savior. Dawn, take me home. Of course I knew what she was thinking, but all I could do was smooth her hair and whisper in her ear, Mom, I'm worried you'll be scared going home alone. Your husband's urn is still by your bedside. Out here, at least you have someone with you. Even though the nursing home isn't that expensive. I think we should save where we can. After all, I'll need your money to buy a new house. Don't you agree? Wake up now. If you're feeling lonely, I'll take you home so you can spend some quality time with Dad. I leisurely pushed her wheelchair back home. She was drenched like a drowned rat. While I happily sipped my iced cola, she begged me with pleading eyes, licking her lips. I gently tapped her temple and scolded, Drink, drink, drink. What are you even drinking, Mom? You're not even thirsty. You're just trying to trick me, aren't you? You're so sneaky. She kept tilting her head away. I pretended not to see, but the bumpy road jolted her so violently she nearly didn't survive the shaking. If she were to fall from the wheelchair, her head would be bleeding and bruised. All she could do was clutch the wheelchair desperately, her swollen body pressed uncomfortably against the seat, clutching the box containing her father tightly. She trembled all over, her eyes rolling back in fear. Every time I encountered someone, I would stop and enthusiastically chat with them, making introductions. 8. This is my mother. The urn holds my father's ashes. My brother ran off with another man. Now she's left in my care. Can't really blame my brother though. It's mostly Mom's fault. During my brother's job probation period, she went around spreading rumors and even accepted bribes. Meanwhile, I'm here with early-stage stomach cancer. And she forces me to eat grilled skewers and spicy hot pot every day. Sigh. After my father's pancreatic cancer surgery, she kept feeding him high-protein diets and barbecue. Just like that, we lost the pillar of our family. People just love a spectacle, and quite a few gathered around to listen. I have to repeat everything she does dozens of times, telling everyone about it. Those who felt sorry for her have all left. Only those who gossip about her remain. What a tragedy. Only 2 are left in the family now. That heartless old woman. My God, how is this kind of person still alive, wasting the country's air and resources? If it were me, I'd have drunk pesticide and ended it long ago. Her face flushed and paled, then paled and flushed again. Seeing that I wasn't about to stop, she shot me a venomous glare. In a voice too soft for others to hear, I gently chided, So you finally dropped the act. I refuse to believe you don't understand what people are saying. Let's be blunt, you're just trying to test our obedience, to see how much we'll put up with, but remember, I'm the one you've wronged before, now the needle's pricking you instead. How does that feel, Mom? By the way, I mixed your husband's ashes with meat and fed it to the dog ages ago. That dog was over the moon, drooling buckets, barbecue-flavored bones, pretty tasty, huh, and part of it's in your stomach, smells good, doesn't it? Seafood porridge, roasted bones, Mom. According to your beliefs, cannibalism brings divine punishment, karma's real, your son ran away, your husband is dead, and your daughter abuses you. How does it feel to get your just desert so perfectly? Watching her face contort with rage, her hands trembling uncontrollably, I couldn't help but laugh with pure satisfaction. I left my mother in that wretched nursing home to suffer day after day. When I saw Lance again, he was stumbling around the courtyard like a lost soul. I got the shock of my life when I opened the door. He called out to me when he saw me, "Sis, I know I was wrong. Please help me. I was tricked into going to northern Myanmar and only managed to escape after having a kidney removed," I said hesitantly. What older sister wouldn't want the best for her brother? I can't just ignore you. Let me see what I can find out for you. I immediately called the hospital to make sure he'd be well taken care of. Lance sat in the operating room, pulling out the needle, having endured constant humiliation. In that cramped room, every daily need was met there, bitterly cold in winter, sweltering in summer. He greedily clutched a stack of cash, using it to soothe his aching body. When he came back complaining to me, I had no choice but to tell him straight, "Who told you to blow the job offer and get yourself blacklisted? If you're desperate for quick cash, you might as well sell blood or sperm. You could have had a solid career. What a shame." I kept drilling into his head how crucial that job was for him, until all he could think about was, who did this to me, until he was once again stripped bare and pushed onto the operating table. The one wielding the scalpel was his college roommate, now an academician. He looked utterly shocked. "Isn't this my old classmate? Weren't you top of the class back in the day? Heard you tip dirty money. How did you end up like this, selling blood and sperm to make ends meet?" Then again, to each their own, selling that stuff does pay better than what we're doing. Let me introduce everyone to our top writer from back in the day, Lance. Ding. A familiar yet sinister face flashed through his mind. After he got home and stayed silent, I seized the moment and brought out the new clothes for him. "Lance, let's go see Mom tomorrow." "Okay, she misses you a lot at the nursing home." The nursing home called just as I finished eating a pack of extra spicy jerky, tears streaming down. I pretended to stumble my way there and saw the bloated figure under the white sheet, letting out a choked cry. "Mom, what's wrong? Please don't scare me like this." Lance stood nearby with a vacant yet fierce look in his eyes, muttering under his breath. Only upon listening closely could one make out what he was saying. "My job is going well. My job is going well. Sis, save me. It was an accident. She just lost her balance." It was then that we realized Lance had pushed his mother into the river, where she drowned. He was only found after being submerged for 3 days and nights. 9. I pointed at Lance, the murderer, and said, "I will never forgive you." My name wasn't on the pardon agreement. As the police took him away, I whispered to him, "You're so pathetic and ridiculous." He looked at me in disbelief, wondering why I would do this to him. But why on earth should I have to explain myself to him? As long as I can face my own conscience for everything I've done, that's all that matters. After Lance was sent to prison, I visited him once. He got into a fight and was blinded, his eyes now sensitive to light. He was trying to get medical parole. The moment I saw him, I knew he was back. He pleaded urgently, "Sis, I'm really suffering. Could you just let me out first? I was wrong. I feel like I can foresee many things about the future. I'll definitely give you a good life and never make you suffer again. I won't ask you to buy a house anymore." I shot him a look of utter contempt, signaling him to shut his trap. "Lance, the way you're begging me, you look just like a dog." With just that one sentence, he knew without a doubt, I was back, and he was never getting out. He was utterly broken. The last time he called, it was to tell me he had died in prison. I watched the boomerang of fate come full circle in this round, smiling with satisfaction. From now on, I just want to live well and take good care of myself. Story 2, Chapter 1. In my past life, during the bonding ceremony, my sister drugged me and claimed the extraordinarily powerful serpent beastman first, leaving me with nothing but a crippled pheasant beastman. Little did we know, the prideful and treacherous serpent clan never acknowledged her. My sister became obsessed with taming the serpent beast, eventually descending into madness, yet that disabled pheasant beastman transformed into a phoenix of unmatched combat prowess, helping me ascend the throne in glorious triumph. Consumed by jealousy, my sister slit my throat during the coronation ceremony when I least expected it, sending blood spraying everywhere. The future throne and supreme glory should rightfully be mine. Just wait till you lose your mind, dear sister. In this reincarnated life, she was quick to choose the pheasant beastman Phoenix. I facebombed in disbelief. Did she really think a phoenix's rebirth was that easy? This time, I'll claim the throne through my own strength. I choose him. My younger sister stood with one hand on her hip, the other pointing urgently at Phoenix trapped in the cage. This was the scene that greeted me when I arrived at the training grounds. I realized then my sister had also been reborn, for generations. The royal family has maintained the tradition of adopting guardian beasts both to protect the princes and princesses and to preserve the alliance between beastkin and humankind. On my coming-of-age day, Mother had my twin sister and me choose our adoptive partners, only for her to drug me so she could pick first. In our past life, my sister instantly fixated on Draco, that haughty yet alluring serpent beastman. To claim the throne, she needed a mate powerful enough to aid her ambition. Towering and devastatingly handsome, the serpentkin resembled an aloof deity, and to my shock, my sister actually fell for his icy charm. The stark contrast. Phoenix, the pheasant beastman. Phoenix was frail and sickly, with merely passable looks. Her timid eyes made her resemble a delicate white flower begging to be plucked. In our past life, my younger sister eagerly claimed the serpent beast, leaving Phoenix to me like some pitiful handout. Leaning against the queen mother, she cooed, "Sister, that pheasant suits you perfectly. I won't compete for it. As for this serpent beast, I suppose I'll reluctantly accept it." She sighed with faint regret. Now she clings greedily to the harpy beastman, yet still has my best interests at heart. "Sister, I adore you most of all. This serpent beast is far too magnificent. It should rightfully be yours." "Cynthia, don't be absurd," Mother said with clear disapproval. Indeed, she'd moved heaven and earth to obtain this serpent beast for her youngest daughter, exhausting endless resources. Now that I'd inexplicably taken it from her, she naturally wouldn't allow it. Though my sister and I are twins, the Queen Mother treats us completely differently. Gifted since childhood, I trained diligently and gained the ability to bond with spirit beasts far earlier than most. That contract should have been mine by right. But my sister objected. Frail and spoiled by our mother's indulgence, she grew up pampered and willful. Seeing me qualify for a spirit beast contract so young, she feared I'd claim all the worthy familiars, leaving her humiliated. So she wheedled our mother. My sister, and I are still too young to form a spirit beast contract now. It would harm my sister's health, yet everyone under heaven knows, the younger the age when forming a spirit beast contract, the better, allowing both human and beast to grow together, advance in tandem, and reach the pinnacle of cultivation. Since your younger sister shows such concern for you, Minerva, you should wait a while longer. The Queen Mother affectionately pinched my younger sister's cheek, then turned to coldly inform me of her consent. She knew everything all along, yet made me wait 3 whole years. Until my sister barely reached the age to form a spirit beast contract. "Mother, I want him, no one else." Clutching the Queen Mother's sleeve, my sister swayed it coquettishly, her eyes blazing with determination. Seeing such stubborn resolve, the Queen Mother sighed in resignation, unable to bring herself to refuse. "If that's what Cynthia really wants, then let her have it." My younger sister smirked in satisfaction, leaning against the Queen while mouthing silent words at me in challenge. Though others didn't catch it, I knew exactly what she was saying. "Sister, you'll never outdo me in this lifetime." I stood there indifferently, unmoved. "Minerva, your younger sister yielded the mighty serpent beast to you and chose the pheasant beastman for herself. As the elder sister, it's only natural to show reciprocity." The Queen Mother stood on the steps, assuming her imperial demeanor as she looked down at me with condescension. "Then let the serpent beast form a half-pact with Cynthia as well." After the Queen Mother spoke, the court officials grew restless, murmuring their discontent. "What is your Majesty thinking? Signing a half-contract is tantamount to stripping the crown princess of her inheritance rights." "Exactly. Everyone knows beast folk who sign half-contracts have their cultivation halved and lifespans cut short by half. In my past life, I contracted with a pheasant beast folk, yet no one ever mentioned granting me the other half of the contract." I looked up at the Empress Mother, her expression brooking no dissent, while my younger sister smirked at me with smug satisfaction. "I refuse," I declared. "How dare you defy our command?" The Empress Mother snapped impatiently. "Is this what the royal etiquette masters taught you? Your sister went out of her way for your benefit, yet you won't even sign a half contract." Such selfishness. Just like in my past life, history repeated itself. I was forever bound to remain with the leftover one. My sister drugged me to make me late, then brazenly took the serpent beast for herself, leaving me with nothing but a pheasant beastman. The Queen Mother didn't even investigate my tardiness, simply scolding, "Is this how you disregard time? Where are your manners?" She then cast a proud glance at my sister before turning back to me with icy disdain. "Aren't you going to thank your sister? She was considerate enough to let you have the pheasant beastman." In truth, the serpent beast possessed formidable power and noble lineage. Securing it would have greatly enhanced both my cultivation and future claim to the throne. As for the pheasant beast folk, though physically frail, they possess an arrogance and conceit that surpasses even that of the serpentkin, just as I anticipated. The Serpentkin's inherent power grew exponentially with each day of cultivation, gradually elevating my sister's strength as well. The pheasant beastfolk couldn't endure daily training hardships, constantly seeking amusement. Upon hearing royal consorts lived in luxury, he even shamelessly flirted with me for weeks. I've zero tolerance for such nonsense. One knockout blow ended his delusions. Though forcing him to train daily yielded minimal progress, the discipline was necessary. Every time my sister passes by, she never misses a chance to mock me, with everyone eagerly watching my humiliation. Yet the Queen Mother insists it's my sister who's being gracious, that I owe her, and should kneel in gratitude. I only took what she discarded, yet they make it seem like I robbed her. Later, the serpent beast grew more powerful and arrogant, even disrespecting the Queen Mother. It tormented my sister daily, leaving her suffering in silence until she resorted to forbidden arts to tame it, only to lose herself to demonic cultivation. Yet my pheasant beastman kept refining its skills, surpassing all expectations until it underwent nirvanic rebirth in flames, emerging as a once-in-a-millennium phoenix. When the Queen Mother learned of this, she demanded I surrender the phoenix to form a healing contract with my sister. I refused outright. The Queen Mother condemned me as unfilial, then succumbed to illness soon after from excessive worry over my sister. Chapter 2. With my sister lost to cultivation deviation, I became the undisputed heir to the throne. At my coronation, my sister appeared out of nowhere and slit my throat in one swift motion, as blood sprayed everywhere. I heard my sister snarl with venomous jealousy, "This is all your fault. If it weren't for you, wretched creature, I wouldn't have come to this. The Phoenix throne was rightfully mine." As darkness consumed me, my final thought was, "As if that belongs to you, what a joke." Chapter 3. When my sister took the pheasant beastman away during my rebirth, she deliberately came up to me and said smugly, "Just keep the snake beastman for yourself, sis. I'm being generous by leaving him to you. I'll be waiting for the day when that snake beast toys with you, the day you come begging to me." That delusional woman, already on her second life, still clings to beastmen for support. Has she ever stopped to think? The pact between beastmen and humans is symbiotic. Beastmen share their lifespan and cultivation, while humans stabilize their dantian to prevent chi deviation. Though that pheasant beastman carries phoenix blood, he's unbearably mischievous in his early stages, half-hearted in cultivation. I constantly have to regulate his dantian and temper his impulses to make progress. My cultivation progress had stagnated completely, so I searched far and wide for answers, even injuring my meridians in pursuit of a fire-attributed spiritual fruit. I sighed while looking at this phoenix that still resembled a common pheasant. This lazy bum spends all day coasting instead of improving himself, just looking for powerful patrons. Who knows what'll happen now that he's fallen into my sister's hands, though to be fair, he'd long grown tired of my dull personality. Maybe he'll be happier without me, for now. My beastman is a serpentine one. I had the serpent beastman brought to my chamber. With his aloof demeanor and striking features, my inner aesthete couldn't help but stare at him longingly. To my surprise, he actually blushed and stammered, You, stop staring at me like that. Ugh, in my past life I never heard that serpent beasts could be this bashful. This Gapmo is hilarious, I love it." So I reached out like a rogue and lifted his chin. A Draco instantly reverted to his true form, a pitch-black little snake, scurrying around trying to hide. I grabbed him in an instant, and the little creature had nowhere to escape, so it could only coil tightly around my fingers. So adorable. I gently stroked its body with my hand. The texture was amazing, cool and smooth like the finest silk. "Stop touching me, stop." The snake's big, round eyes were filled with bashfulness and nervousness. "Sister, want to form a pact?" "I'm super easy to bond with." Chapter 4. I frowned. Is forming a bond this easy? Normally, beast folk would spend considerable time with their potential partner before willingly opening their dantian to establish a contract. The little snake nuzzled my fingers pleadingly when it saw my hesitation. As I stroked its scales, I wondered how such an adorable creature could have been portrayed so differently in my past life. "Your Highness the First Princess. The second princess requests your presence at her betrothal banquet. She specifically asks that you bring your contracted beast." The palace maid handed me my sister's invitation bearing both her name and Phoenix's. My eyebrows shot up. I knew Phoenix would win my sister, but I never expected their engagement to happen this soon. "Come along, sweetheart, let's go see the excitement," I said, tugging at Draco's sleeve. The beastkin boy nodded with flushed cheeks, making me grin like a doting ant. My sister and Phoenix stood in the grand hall wearing vibrant red ceremonial attire, beaming as they greeted guests. God knows what's going through their heads, making such a spectacle over a mere engagement. Well, look who's here, big sister." My sister sauntered over with smug eyes, grinning while eyeing Draco beside me. I glanced at Draco and saw his usually indifferent face darken with unmistakable irritation. "You seem to be doing quite well, little sister. Have you formed a pact with your spirit beast yet? At my words, my sister's face darkened. She seemed about to retort, but after glancing at the surrounding guests, she forced a smile and said, "No need for your concern, elder sister. I shall form my covenant with Phoenix today." I glanced at Phoenix greeting guests in the distance. Oh, and mother, I suppose the queen will be delighted to hear this news. Someone as shrewd as the Queen Mother must have seen through Phoenix's true colors from the start. My sister contracted him as a beast companion. That's harmless enough. She could always form another contract. But marriage, that's entirely different. She'd be shackled while Phoenix reaps all the benefits. No wonder I couldn't find Her Majesty at the engagement banquet. She's probably furious with her favorite youngest daughter. Just as I predicted, my sister's expression grew increasingly grim. Congratulations, dear sister, it's getting late, I must take my leave now. After upsetting my sister, I felt rather pleased with myself. Ignoring her increasingly resentful glare, I simply tipped Draco's arm and left. Little did we know, my sister in Phoenix's chamber would catch fire that very night. My sister lay writhing on the ground, engulfed in flames as palace servants desperately doused her with bucket after bucket of water, a truly pitiful sight. Phoenix stood at a distance, watching coldly. When she saw me approaching, she flashed me an innocent, flower-like smile. Draco noticed and immediately shielded me completely with his body, keeping my distance until the flames died down. I cautiously approached and gently reminded my sister, "What's going on here? Getting married at dawn and already talking divorce by dusk." The palace lay in ruins as my sister stood pale-faced, muttering blankly, "Phoenix, how dare you force a reverse pact on me? I'll kill you. I swear I'll kill you." No wonder, when I checked earlier, only she bore injuries while Phoenix remained completely unscathed. In a standard human-beast pact, wounds heal instantly as they transfer to the more resilient beastkin. A reverse pact flips this completely. Hearing my voice, my sister snapped back to reality, eyes bloodshot and burning with hatred, as if she'd finally pieced together the truth. "It's all your fault. You must have told Phoenix to trick me into that cursed pact. You vile wretch, I'll kill you." My sister lunged at me with her fire-scorched hands, blackened and charred, but Draco shielded me behind him. She glared at Draco and shrieked, "You're protecting her. How dare you? What kind of witchcraft has she used to enslave you all?" Her face twisted into an increasingly grotesque mask of rage as she ranted. Draco watched her with growing revulsion. "Why would he protect you over me? You were the one who abandoned him first." Seeing her deranged state, I quietly erected a barrier. Any attempt to approach me would meet the bite of my blade. Chapter 5. The next instant, she lunged at me with claws bared, only for Draco to backhand her midair. Snap! I heard the distinct sound of my sister's bones cracking and couldn't help but sigh. Even the Phoenix from my past life never possessed such terrifying strength. That serpent is truly formidable. His Majesty arrives. The moment the Queen Mother arrived and witnessed my sister being sent flying, she urgently summoned imperial physicians and ordered attendants to assist her. "Mother, it hurts so much. Am I dying? I can't bear to leave you." My sister fainted after saying this. "Take the second princess back to her chambers and treat her properly. If she doesn't recover, I'll have your heads." The Queen Mother's face was filled with anguish and urgency, though my sister had defied her by getting engaged to Phoenix. Seeing her youngest daughter injured still broke her heart. Slap! The Queen Mother slapped me across the face without a second thought, completely disregarding right or wrong. "Is this how you treat your own sister, letting your spirit beast attack your own flesh and blood?" Pressing a hand to my burning, swollen cheek, I couldn't understand why the treatment differed so drastically between daughters. In my past life, when my younger sister used me as her training dummy and plaything, the Queen Mother only praised her diligence while turning a blind eye to my wounds, yet somehow he laid hands on me without warning. I blinked my reddened eyes. "It wasn't me, she struck first. Draco was only trying to protect me. How dare you talk back? Is this what you've learned of royal decorum?" The Queen Mother grew livid as she summoned her spirit beast, the colossal diamond ape, towering like a mountain. The diamond ape loomed as the Queen Mother demanded, "Will you admit your wrongdoing?" I clenched my fists and bit my lip. "I'm not wrong. Vidra, tear that serpent beast apart." The Queen Mother said these words while staring straight at me. "Your Majesty mustn't. If the spirit beast dies, the first princess will perish too." "Indeed, your Majesty cannot do this." Amidst the murmurs of the crowd, the Empress Dowager declared, "Silence. Do you think I cannot execute even a princess?" In that instant, I felt an unexpected peace. My entire previous life had been spent yearning for my mother's love. I believed that if I became exceptional enough, cultivated my skills to perfection, I might finally earn her gaze, that she might speak of me with pride. Even ascending the throne was merely proof that I was her most worthy child. I'd clung to a shred of hope for her affection, yet now she utters, "Do you think I cannot execute even a princess?" With all hope shattered, my heart turned cold toward the Queen Mother. And in that moment, I understood, the bonds between people are predestined, no amount of struggle can alter what's already fated. The golden ape charged at Draco on the Queen Mother's command, only for Draco to morph into serpent form and constrict it in a deadly coil. Suppressing my disappointment toward the Queen Mother, I watched anxiously. Draco's cultivation was profoundly advanced, otherwise, the Queen Mother wouldn't have considered binding him to my sister back then. But whether this depth of power could defeat the golden ape remains entirely uncertain. After what felt like an eternity, the golden ape finally succumbed, coughing up blood. At that moment, the Queen Mother spoke. "What? You'd kill your own mother?" I motioned for Draco to stand down. Chapter 6. Mother, the imperial succession competition in 5 years is about to begin. Would you kindly send my regards to my sister? I shall take my leave with Draco now. I bowed respectfully to the Empress, guiding Draco step by step out of Jingyang Palace, leaving behind my past obsession with familial bonds. "My dear Ranran, are you undergoing metamorphosis?" I frowned while carefully applying medicine to his wounds, noticing a faint blue glow emanating from his body. In my past life, even Phoenix glowed crimson right before his rebirth. The Alufian man's ears turned blood red as I undid his robes. "Aren't you afraid those villains will come after you, sis?" The boy's cool voice whispered by my ear, terrified. "That's why we're running. I've got it all planned out." I pinched Snakey's ear. "Damn, it's burning up. Your cultivation is impressive, but I detected a blockage in your dantian during my examination. We must find the cause by journeying across the 9 provinces." "Agreed." Draco nodded. "In this lifetime, you belong to me." I lay on the bed, eyelids heavy with drowsiness, barely catching his words. "For 5 years. Draco and I traveled freely across mountains and rivers, living without a care in the world. By sheer luck, we encountered a miracle-working physician who diagnosed at first glance. Draco has reached the time of dragon metamorphosis and is about to transform. Throughout history, only one serpent beast has ever ascended to dragonhood, and that legend has long faded from this world. Yet now my Draco is becoming the second. Overjoyed, I tugged at the physician's sleeve and asked, "Master, when will his transformation occur?" The mystic healer said, "For a serpent to ascend as a dragon, it must endure profound sorrow. Only then can grief become its horns and true draconic form emerge." Though utterly bewildered, Draco simply pulled me away by the hand. "Would you really think less of me, sister, if I never became a dragon?" Seeing the pitiful look in Draco's eyes, I gently stroked his head in reassurance. "No matter what happens, you'll always be my spirit beast." "Just a spirit beast," Draco murmured something I couldn't quite catch. "Come here, it's time for today's cultivation practice. We mustn't waste any time. I must defeat my sister, for my past self, for who I am now, and for Draco. If I fail, she'll surely hunt us down without mercy." 5 years passed in a blink, and the training ground was now packed with spectators. The heir's succession was never the emperor's decision. Instead, a trial would be held 30 years after his coronation. Every prince and princess was eligible to compete. With no imperial interference, their contracted spirit beasts would battle, victors crowned as rulers, while the defeated became outcasts at the mercy of others. Sister remains as blunt as ever. "Very well, I'll leave your corpse intact. Consider it my final act of sisterly kindness." The younger sister sneered, her face brimming with malicious triumph. "Phoenix, show yourself." In an instant, an enormous phoenix materialized before them, wreathed in flames and radiating majestic power. On the specially constructed dueling platform, a black serpent and an obsidian phoenix locked gazes, the very air seeming to still between them. The phoenix beat its wings, ready to take flight, but the black serpent struck without hesitation, coiling around the dark phoenix in a death grip. Boom. Chapter 7. With a thunderous roar, the phoenix spewed black flames in a desperate attempt to break free, yet to no avail. I'm not worried about Draco. My focus is entirely on Phoenix. In my past life, I had to push Phoenix to train daily and stabilize his core energy just to achieve minimal progress. When I learned of his Phoenix lineage, I fed him my heart's blood for half a year to prepare his rebirth, not to mention spending a decade gathering rare elixirs for his transformation. Yet now, he's achieved nirvana in merely 5 years. The feather color is all wrong too. Last life they were flaming crimson, utterly resplendent. But now they're pitch black. What in the world is going on? My mind's flooded with questions. Has the world gone mad for black these days? You forced my hand. You drove me to this. Every last one of you deserves to die. My sister fixed me with a venomous glare, her eyes burning with primal hatred like a jungle beast thirsting for blood, ready to tear me limb from limb. My sister produced a glowing orb, and instantly the sky turned pitch black. This was forbidden magic even the heavens forbade. That's the soul-devouring elixir. The second princess has gone mad. Run for your lives, run. The crowd scattered in panic, and within moments, the vast training ground held only the two of us. The soul-devouring elixir is forged from the flesh and blood of kin, annihilating their very souls. When consumed by spirit beasts, it grants centuries of cultivation power. In an instant, a phoenix's cry pierced the heavens. Phoenix radiated scorching energy, his entire body wreathed in flames. Yet these weren't the righteous orange-red flames, but sinister black ones. Draco strained with all his might to maintain control as the black phoenix soared, diving straight toward the serpent. Seeing Draco about to lose, I quickly drew a magic circle to channel energy for him. Well, sister, you'd actually risk your life to empower that black serpent. What a devoted master you are. If that's how it is, let me lend you a hand, sister. With those words, my younger sister swung her sword at me. Maintaining the magic array left me immobilized, forcing me to erect a barrier for temporary protection. Yet even so, I couldn't withstand my sister's relentless assaults. Each strike sent crushing waves of pain through my very core. I finally lost control, spewing a mouthful of blood. This is it, I thought. I'm going to die. The next instant, the heavenly Tao unexpectedly unleashed the ninefold thunder tribulation, in a flash. The winds howled and the skies darkened with roiling storm clouds. Witnessing my bloodied state, Draco's grief and fury shattered his inner demons, triggering his metamorphosis from serpent to dragon. The obsidian sky cracked open as 9 waves of primordial lightning cascaded downward. Primal energies raged through Draco's meridians, tearing them apart only to rebuild them anew. At last, the heavenly tribulation ceased. A thunderous dragon's roar echoed forth, and through our pact, my wounds healed completely as my cultivation surged. The colossal dragon circled midair, radiating overwhelming pressure that forced the black phoenix to surrender with a pitiful cry. The obsidian dragon showed no mercy, tearing its foe apart without hesitation. In its final moments, Phoenix transformed into human form and whispered a single word: regret. I blinked and pretended not to see. My sister suffered severe backlash when her spirit beast died, the broken contract draining her vitality until she coughed up blood. Seeing me approach, her face twisted in panic as she wailed like a frightened child. Sister, you can't kill me, I beg you. We're family, I'm the only kin you have left in this world, I sighed, my heart ultimately relenting. Just cling to your wretched life then, Draco, let's go. To my shock, my sister instantly drew her sword and lunged at me. Die, sister. Anticipating this, I materialized a spirit blade and ran her through without hesitation. Why, this isn't fair, I won't accept this. My sister collapsed to the ground, coughing up blood, her eyes burning with hatred. His Highness has arrived, clad in imperial robes. I stood before the assembled court officials, feeling as though lifetimes had passed. Elder sister, a man's deep voice murmured by my ear, and I turned to face him. Since Draco's draconic transformation, his features grew increasingly striking, perpetually captivating me with an almost ethereal allure. Sister, will you make me your imperial consort? Yes. Story 2, 3 years into the apocalypse, the zombie virus was overcome, but I was pushed into the zombie horde. When I opened my eyes again, I was reborn. I'll do whatever it takes to stay alive. But I didn't expect that I wasn't the only one who was reborn. When I was woken up by Timothy slapping my head, I was in a trance and didn't hear his endless scolding at all. The company hired you to work, not to slack off and sleep. You should treat the company as your home. Timothy was the first colleague I met after joining the company, and he was also my underground boyfriend. At the beginning, he said he didn't want to disclose our office romance, so over the years, we've been dating secretly. Our dating spots are either at his place or mine. In the company, we either look at each other without saying a word or he bossed me around. I've been enduring it all this time. Now, looking at his ugly face, I quickly pulled out a sharp pair of scissors from the pen holder. I really want to deal with him with one strike. This person was the culprit who caused my tragic death in my previous life. But the bright sunshine shining through the window, the fresh air, and the traffic outside the window all told me that it's better to avoid trouble. The apocalypse is about to break out, and I don't have time. I quickly packed my personal belongings and forcefully pushed Timothy, who was still nagging, away. His back hit the corner of the wall, and he couldn't help but groan in pain. Just as he was about to fly into a rage, I interrupted him. You do treat the company as your home. But is the company really your home? You're just a worker. You want to act like a leader. You've got the wrong person. Get lost. We're breaking up. I quickly left the company, ignoring Timothy, who was stunned by my words. I quickly took a taxi home and blocked Timothy and my best friend on my phone. After returning to the rental house, I tried to calm down and think. The pain of being bitten alive by zombies in my previous life still haunted me, too. In my previous life, I struggled to carry several overweight suitcases and went back to his hometown with Timothy to meet his parents. I thought we were finally going to have a happy ending, but I didn't expect that my best friend Mila was with us. As soon as we entered the village, the apocalypse broke out, and everyone was trapped in the village. To prevent the zombies from entering the village, the village chief led the villagers to block the way into the village. Timothy had the bad habit of being lazy and gluttonous. Mila even said that she was brought back by me, and I was the one responsible for us being trapped here. The village was short of supplies. Feeling guilty, I was like one Bauchuan and dug wild vegetables for them for 2 years. However, Mila couldn't stand the isolated life of eating wild vegetables every day. Behind my back, she urged Timothy to run away with her. But they came back crawling, with a disgusting horde of zombies following behind. Later, the zombie horde swept through the village like the Japanese invaders. When the blood-covered zombies knocked me down and opened their mouths to bite me, fortunately, the rescue team arrived. The captain of the rescue team was in a tough outfit, with sharp facial features. Although it was the first time I saw him, he seemed familiar. Under his leadership, I was safely taken to the safe base, in a village of nearly 300 people. Only 17 were left alive, and Timothy and Mila were luckily among them. After coming out of the village, I learned that zombies were everywhere, and the safe base was short of supplies. Resources were limited. The most common methods to obtain supplies were to fight zombies and patrol near the base. In the 3rd year after the apocalypse broke out, I heard that the zombie virus had been overcome and was in the experimental stage. The zombie crisis would end soon, and humanity finally had hope. On that day, in order to exchange for a bucket of braised beef noodles, Mila insisted on dragging me and Timothy out to contribute. The 3 of us were patrolling near the base as usual, but she insisted on joining the combat team to fight the zombies. Her unlucky nature attracted a wave of zombies. In order to buy time to escape, she and Timothy pushed me into the zombie horde together. The 2 of them even ran away hand in hand as if they were a couple. When the zombies with brain matter and blood on them and severely decayed bodies bit my body, I subconsciously closed my eyes. No, Sarah, no. In the moment of being pulled and bitten, I vaguely heard someone calling my name, but the next second, my consciousness was submerged in pain. 3. Now I'm reborn. There's 1 month left before the apocalypse breaks out. I have to stay alive, but after graduating for 2 years, I've only saved 1 million yuan frugally, which is far from enough. After the apocalypse, the order will collapse. I have to find a way to survive before that. First, I opened various lending apps like JD, Taba, and Ant Financial, and borrowed the maximum amount I could. Then I went to major banks to apply for credit cards and overdraw to the maximum limit, and managed to scrape together 5 million yuan. Finally, I opened Boss Yupin and applied to be the housekeeper of a villa in the suburbs of the city that had been unoccupied for a long time. After that, I tried to find a way to renovate the villa. I felt sorry for the owner of the villa, but before the apocalypse broke out, I had to find a safe place. I had to use the limited money to stock up on supplies and do a good job of safety protection, as I really didn't have money to buy a house. For there are 26 days left before the end of the world. I successfully got the key to the villa. I quickly called the decoration company and asked them to send people to install and renovate the villa. The outer wall of the villa was originally 2 meters high. I asked the decoration company to raise it to 5 meters, about the height of 2 floors, and install a high-voltage power grid on the fence. I replaced all the doors and windows of the villa with explosion-proof and unbreakable ones, pasted one-way see-through film on all the glass in the villa, and installed soundproof facilities on the walls. Zombies have a keen sense of smell and hearing. When I move and have fun in the house, it will definitely make noises, so I have to minimize the sound that spreads outside. Since I can't go out after the apocalypse, water source is the most important. I also asked the construction team to dig 2 wells in the small garden of the villa. Looking at the small flower beds separated in the garden, after thinking about it, I asked the construction team to dig out all the landscape plants in the flower beds. I dug 1 or 2 of them into pools, and turned over the soil of the remaining ones, preparing to plant vegetables later. Just having water is not enough. I'm used to living with electricity. Not having electricity after the apocalypse is definitely a tragedy. Moreover, the high-voltage power grid on the wall also needs a power source. I also asked the construction team to install a solar power supply system on the roof, to prevent malfunctions. I directly asked for 2 sets. The team leader of the construction team looked at me with a strange expression. This renovation is too big. It will take time to purchase materials and start the work. It will take at least a month to complete. I quickly took out the prepared bank card and mobile phone chat records. This won't do. The owner of the villa said that money is not a problem. He is willing to pay twice the original decoration price, but the construction progress must be fast. It must be completed within 10 days. After hearing the price, the team leader was overjoyed and immediately motivated. I knew the deal was done, guaranteed to complete the task. I looked calm on the surface, but I was secretly delighted inside. The villa has an owner, and I can't move it easily, after being hired as the housekeeper. I contacted the owner of the villa, using the excuse that the villa had been unoccupied for a long time, and many facilities were damaged, and there were weeds in the yard. Then I took the opportunity to put forward my request. Can I do some repairs to the villa, replace the broken equipment, and remove the grass in the yard? After getting the owner's consent, I deleted some chat records. leaving only the message that the owner of the villa agreed to my renovation. Then I found the property management and the construction team to start the work. Although it was a bit unethical, after the apocalypse broke out, the world would fall into chaos. I had to find a shelter for myself before that. After that, I started to stockpile supplies. During this period, I called my younger brother Zachary and urgently asked him to drive his big truck to me immediately. 5. There are 20 days left before the end of the world. The construction team was still working, and the workers were coming and going in the villa during the construction. As a girl, I couldn't buy supplies too blatantly. I could only drive my 4-seater car to slowly stock up, and plan to let Zachary help me stockpile supplies when he arrived. In the past few days, I went to our T-Mart to buy daily necessities, feminine hygiene products, toothpaste, toothbrush, towel, bath towel, shampoo, body wash, laundry detergent, toilet paper, facial tissue, etc. I also bought some food that can be stored for a long time: rice, flour, self-heating hot pot, spicy and sour noodles, loasafen, stinky rice noodles, dried noodles, etc., oils, salt, soy sauce, light soy sauce, vinegar and other seasonings. After buying them, I put them in the car and moved them into the villa by myself after the construction team left every night. The villa has 3 floors, with about 200 square meters on each floor, 4 bedrooms, 2 living rooms and 2 bathrooms. There are 2 basements. The first basement has 3 rooms, a living room and a bathroom. The second basement is empty and remains at a relatively low temperature for a long time, which is an excellent place to store supplies. There are 18 days left before the apocalypse breaks out. On this day, after I finished shopping as usual, I put the things in the car and was driving home when I received a call that Zachary had arrived in City Inn. I gave him the address of the villa and asked him to wait for me at the villa gate. As soon as I got out of the car, I saw Zachary and a man in a black tough outfit standing in the villa. The construction team was huffing and puffing to do the final finishing work. The villa had changed a lot. The outer wall of the villa had been raised and a high-voltage power grid had been installed. The flower beds in the villa had been dug out, and 2 wells stood quietly. I walked up quickly and speculated inwardly. It's strange, how did these 2 get in? Hearing the sound, Zachary and the man turned to look at me. When Zachary saw me, he was overjoyed and then introduced the man beside him to me with an embarrassed expression. "Sis, this is brother Alexander." The man had a handsome face, but there was a murderous aura about him. I reached out my hand and smiled, ready to greet him, but my smile froze instantly because of Zachary's astonishing words. Cough. "He's also the owner of this villa." It seemed that I was doomed. I hadn't stockpiled much supplies, and I didn't have extra money to restore the villa to its original state. I awkwardly invited the man into the living room of the villa. The man straightened his back and strode forward, inspecting as he walked. "Sis, why are you making such a big move with this villa? Do you want to go to the sky?" Zachary and I whispered behind the man. But this attention-seeking guy said something astonishing again, and I reached out and slapped him. "Stop being glib. If I could go to the sky, I definitely wouldn't take you with me." 6. In the living room, the 3 of us stared at each other. I was thinking about how to explain all this. Zachary was the person I was closest to and trusted the most. I could tell him without hesitation that I was reborn and that the apocalypse was coming, this magical thing. But Alexander... I pulled Zachary aside and asked solemnly, "Is Alexander trustworthy?" Zachary was about to make a joke, but seeing my serious expression, he put away his playful look and said seriously, "He's my team leader. I can guarantee his trustworthiness." After struggling for a while, I decided to tell them everything about the upcoming apocalypse, but I hid the fact that I was reborn during the process. A long silence passed. I had no choice but to speak again. "I know it's absurd, and you may not believe it, but the apocalypse is really coming. Otherwise, why would I stockpile so many supplies?" Alexander clenched the handle of the chair tightly, with his veins bulging, as if he was trying his best to endure. "Since I promised to allow you to renovate the villa, you can do it as you like. As for the apocalypse you mentioned, don't spread it widely for now. I'll take care of it." After saying that, when he saw me looking at him, he quickly let go of his hand as if the previous scene was an illusion of my eyes. I didn't know whether Alexander believed what I said, but he really let me renovate the residence. He even pointed out some details that I hadn't noticed to the construction team. I only knew that Zachary didn't believe it at all. He was only 20 years old and was still in college. He was working hard to earn money during the summer vacation. He was at an age full of hope for the world and the future. But seeing my appearance, he still gave me all the money he had saved. I didn't persuade him much. Sometimes, experiencing the cruelty of human nature later is also a good thing. Before that, all I could do was to stockpile enough supplies for several people. 7. The next day, Alexander drove Zachary's big truck and accompanied me to do the shopping, while Zachary watched the construction team do the final finishing work. As soon as we arrived at the mall, the 2 of us divided the work. Alexander first went to discuss with the mall owner about bulk purchasing of large quantities of supplies, and I went to the supermarket to buy some small quantities of durable necessities. I was pushing the shopping cart when I met Timothy and Mila strolling in the supermarket arm in arm. In the shopping cart they were pushing together, there were several bags of rice, oil, and snacks. As soon as Timothy saw me, he immediately let go of Mila's hand and rushed over to grab me. "Sarah, where have you been? I haven't been able to contact you these days." Before I could pull his hand away, when he saw the things in my shopping cart, his face changed, and he asked me in a hurry, "You bought so many supplies at once. Tell me, do you know what's going to happen in advance?" I was shocked, but I remained calm on the surface. There was a flood in my hometown, and I came to buy some supplies to send back. "But what are you buying so much rice and flour for?" The week before, there was a severe flood in my hometown, and most of the houses in the village were flooded. Fortunately, the country had already made arrangements for the residents to relocate. After hearing this, Timothy's face relaxed. He stared at the list of supplies in my shopping cart with a greedy look. "I couldn't contact you in the past 2 days, so I had to ask your best friend to come out and buy some things. Also, I'm planning to retire early. Since you're here, don't send these things back anyway. They won't be used in the end. Take all these things with you, and the three of us will find a secluded village to live in seclusion for 3 years. As he spoke, he picked up my shopping list, which listed all kinds of products including food, clothing, housing, and transportation that I was about to buy. The more he looked at it, the more satisfied he seemed. Mila leaned against Timothy, poking her head up from beside his shoulder. She looked at my list too, happily tugging at Timothy's arm. "Since Sarah has already bought all these things, can I buy more pretty clothes?" Mila was still acting coquettish with Timothy, but I couldn't help feeling dazed. In the past, Timothy had always yearned for life in a bustling city. I once mentioned that I was under too much pressure and wanted to go back to a small county town with him and find a stable job. He refused without hesitation, sternly emphasizing that as a college graduate from the countryside, going back to a small county town would only invite ridicule. To save face, he always wanted the best in terms of food, clothing, and daily necessities. Now, however, he couldn't wait to hide in a village. I thought it was absurd enough that I had been reborn, unexpectedly. I wasn't the only one. I snatched the list from his hand, looking at the 2 lovebirds. I suppressed my anger and sullen his face. "Get lost, you two. The cheating scumbag and the slut are being so blatant. Do you think I'm a fool, someone who deserves to slave away for you?" I pushed the cart as if to leave. Timothy, however, flew into a rage. "You can break up with me, but only if you leave the supplies you bought. Then I'll agree to the breakup," I sneered. "Take a look at yourself in the mirror when you have time. You're good at calculating so loud. I can hear it right in my face." Timothy stepped forward to block my cart. His eyes filled with anger. He raised his hand to hit me, but in mid-air, a long, powerful hand stopped him. Alexander had somehow appeared beside me. At nearly 6 feet 3 inches, he made the 5 feet 7 inches Timothy look petty. 8. Timothy was pushed away. He stumbled and fell against the shelf behind him. Scared by Alexander's imposing manner, he took a step back but still defiantly retorted, "Who the hell are you? Are you crazy? What business is it of yours when I discipline my girlfriend?" Alexander ignored him, shielding me by his side. He glanced at me, his voice laced with concern. "Are you okay?" I shook my head. Timothy, as if he had been cuckolded, began to maliciously slander me. "So you found a rich sugar daddy. No wonder you dare to break up with me." Mila moved closer to Timothy, placing her hand on his chest to soothe him. "Brother Timothy, a boring woman like her will be dumped in less than 2 days. She won't even know how she dies. Maybe she'll end up like last time when she was killed by the Mila." Timothy interrupted her in a panic, but was suddenly knocked to the ground by a punch from Alexander. Blood oozed from the corner of his purple, bruised mouth. "Help! Murder!" Mila started shouting without regard for the occasion. I was startled by Alexander's action and quickly pulled him back. "Don't make a scene. This is a supermarket." Many onlookers had already gathered around. Mila tried to pull Timothy up from the ground, but his large weight was too much for her. I crouched down, a cold smile on my face that didn't reach my eyes. I leaned in close to them and said in a low voice that only they could hear, "This is a society ruled by law, and we should abide by the law. But what if it weren't? Now that I'm with a powerful person, do you think you can escape for long?" The 2 of them didn't dare to say a word, their eyes full of fear of Alexander. "It seems we all understand each other. If you behave yourselves during this time, everything will be fine. Otherwise, I won't mind getting my hands a little bloody." I stood up, dusted off my pants, and walked towards Alexander. "Let's go. We still have a lot to do." After returning to the villa with Alexander and loading the supplies, I started to sort and store them properly. In the following days, I didn't go out again, only Alexander went out occasionally, leaving early and returning late with Zachary. Sometimes I didn't see them all day. 9. 2 days before the apocalypse broke out, I suddenly felt restless and got up early for the first time in a long while. At 5 in the morning, before dawn, I went into the living room to get a glass of water. I was startled by a dark figure sitting on the sofa. Alexander sat there, silent. When he saw me, his lips moved, but no sound came out. I was about to speak. Zachary, with a bag on his shoulder, came downstairs in a hurry. When he saw me, he stopped and slowly walked up to me. Sis, you haven't slept. I gave Zachary a light kick. We've already stocked up most of the supplies. Are you planning to go out and have fun with that bag on your back? Do you think it's safe out there? Zachary didn't banter with me as usual. He lowered his head, pursed his lips, and unconsciously fidgeted with the strap of his bag. This was his telltale sign of hiding something from me. I took a sip of cold water. The chill flowed down my throat and into my body, clearing my mind instantly. Looking at the two silent men, I unconsciously tightened my grip on the cup, trying to keep my voice steady. Zachary, the apocalypse is coming. You're the only family I have left, sis. I asked him to return to the team. Alexander's voice was calm, as if it didn't matter. The string in my heart snapped, and the veil covering my memories was lifted. No wonder Alexander had always seemed familiar to me. Alexander, Zachary's former team captain in the army. During the 2 years Zachary was in the army, I visited him once. On the way to his dormitory, I caught a distant glimpse of Alexander. He was wearing a military uniform, standing tall and straight, training new recruits. In my previous life, it was also he who saved me from the zombies in the village. After piecing everything together, a wave of sadness welled up in my nose. I tried hard to hold back the tears in my eyes, but the cup in my hand trembled uncontrollably. Alexander, Zachary has already retired. He's just my brother now. I've stocked up so many supplies with great difficulty. Just 3 years, and the vaccine will be developed. He's the only family I have left, and I want him to live. Sis. I once swore that if there was a war, I'd return at the call. Now that the country is in trouble, don't blame brother Alexander. Zachary interrupted me and hugged me tightly. Tears streamed down my face, and I couldn't say anything to stop him. Alexander remained silent, looking at me with deep, unfathomable eyes, as if there were 1,000 words he wanted to say. I promise you, I'll do everything in my power to protect him. 10. In the end, Zachary left with Alexander. Thanks to my predictions, the country had made some preparations. As soldiers, Zachary and Alexander had to go back and fight. I saw them off at the door. Zachary got into the car with red eyes, not saying a word and not looking back. This brat didn't even know to give me a hug before leaving. Alexander stood beside me, looking at the increasingly abnormal sky. He said, "There's a self-defense tool I left in the drawer under the living room table, along with the instructions. You can use it to protect yourself after we leave. Seal the main door and turn on the high-voltage electric fence around the villa. Don't come out. It's not safe outside. If I can come back alive, would you be willing to?" He stopped halfway, falling silent. I looked up at him in confusion. He smiled self-deprecatingly and said, "Forget it. I'm leaving. I'll take care of your brother." With that, he walked to the car, opened the driver's door with force, and got in. The car started, and they disappeared from my sight in an instant. I watched their car until it was out of sight, and tears streamed down my face again. I went back to the living room and took out the box Alexander left. Inside was a silenced pistol and the instructions. 11. The apocalypse broke out. I turned on the high-voltage electric fence. This area was in the suburbs, and usually, few people came here. Now it was the same. There weren't many people around. Just a few zombies wandering sporadically outside the villa. Less than a week later, the internet and power went out. The world order collapsed. I had to use the generator I had prepared earlier to supply electricity. 2 weeks after the apocalypse began, I was suddenly woken up by shouting. I vaguely heard someone calling my name and quickly checked the monitor. I found that Timothy and Mila had somehow found this villa area and were shouting for help at the gate, asking me to open the door. I got up, picked up the gun, and walked towards the door. I couldn't let them keep shouting here, or it would attract nearby zombies. I opened the small window specially made in the door. As soon as they saw me, they clung to me like a life-saving straw. They were crying bitterly. Gone were their former elegance. They were dirty all over, smeared with some unknown yellow liquid that gave off a disgusting stench of excrement. "Sarah, open the door and let us in. Hurry, there are zombies nearby." They spoke one after another, disgusted by each other's smell, wanting to come in but not daring to get close to the door. I pinched my nose, frowned, and looked at them sharply. "How did you know I was here?" This was a suburban area, to make it seem like no one lived in the villa. I didn't even dare to turn on the lights at night, kept the curtains and doors closed at all times, and tried not to make any noise. Their eyes shifted guiltily. After a long while, they stammered, speaking urgently, We followed you all the way from the supermarket. Stop talking nonsense and let us in quickly. The zombies are coming. I was shocked, realizing I had been careless. This wasn't the time to regret. The zombies in the distance, having heard the commotion, were already coming over. Since they had just turned into zombies, they moved slowly. Besides you two, does anyone else know I'm here? A bold idea flashed through my mind, but I remained calm on the surface and asked patiently. Seeing the zombies approaching, they were in a panic and blurted out, "No one else. As long as you let us in, the three of us can live comfortably, and no fourth person will know. Otherwise, I'll tell everyone that there's a safe place here. You've stocked up supplies for several years in advance, right? If I tell others, you'll be doomed with us." Hearing this, I smiled faintly and reached into my pocket. Seeing this, they looked hopeful. But the next second, their faces turned pale with horror. "Sarah, I knew you were the best. What are you going to do?" Mila even hid behind Timothy. 12. I took out the gun Alexander left from my pocket and pointed it at the two outside the door, my voice cold. "You two were reborn too, weren't you? It's absurd that such heartless people can be reborn." The 3 or 2 zombies in the distance were only about 10 meters away from them and would reach them in less than 10 seconds. Timothy grabbed Mila and pushed her towards the zombies. Mila, caught off guard and unable to get up in time, was pounced on by the zombies and torn apart. "I didn't kill you in the last life. It was Mila who pushed you towards the zombies. It has nothing to do with me. Now I've avenged you. Let me in. I'll be your servant and repay you." Timothy knelt on the ground, looking back at the zombies from time to time and constantly pleading with me. I didn't expect Mila to die so easily, nor did I expect Timothy to be so shameless. I raised the gun and pointed it at him again. He had lost his humanity and didn't deserve to live. Timothy died. He was electrocuted by the high-voltage electricity. When I raised the gun, the zombies came up behind him, desperate to get in. He was electrocuted. One of the 3 zombies came to bite him. I raised the gun again and killed the zombie. I closed the small window tightly and went back to my room with a heavy heart. Every few days, someone would come to deal with and remove the zombies near the villa, but they never bothered me. After a few days, the bodies of Mila and the others outside the villa were gone. 13. In the following half year, I stayed alone in the villa. I would sleep until noon, get up and cook a simple bowl of noodles, eat alone, clean the house in the afternoon, and then turn on the tablet to watch movies or read novels I had downloaded before. In the evening, I would start cooking. After dinner, when it got dark, I would go to the basement and continue watching movies or reading novels. Only in the basement could I turn on the lights without worry. Day after day passed. Alexander and Zachary came twice during this time. The first time, Zachary was very excited. He had grown a lot and was no longer the naive younger brother he used to be. He cried and poured out his heart to me, telling me how helpless he felt watching so many people turn into zombies. The second time, he calmly told me about the zombie outbreak, which places had fallen, which places needed rescue, and how in one city, he had to kill his teammates with his own hands after they became zombies. Alexander mostly remained silent, not saying much. He just stared at me intently, like a woman waiting for her husband to return, as if he wanted to burn a hole through me with his gaze. Each time, they came in a hurry and left just as quickly. Every time I tried to make them take some supplies, they left without taking anything. 14. Meow, meow. One morning, before I got up, I was woken up by the meowing of a cat. Jojo stepped on my face. When I woke up, he rushed towards the door impatiently. Coming, coming. I had to get up and follow him to the living room. Jojo was a male blue and white cat. He had a wife named Coco, also a blue and white cat. Alexander brought them to me the second time he came, saying he was afraid I'd be lonely and they could keep me company. I named them Jojo and Coco, hoping they would both be happy and safe. These days, Coco was pregnant, and her due date was approaching. I quickly followed Jojo to the living room. Coco had already given birth to 3 kittens. The mat I had laid out in advance was covered in blood. Coco lay weakly on the mat, meowing feebly. The umbilical cord of the 3rd kitten hadn't been bitten off yet. After leading me there, Jojo rushed to Coco's side, constantly licking her and looking at me for help from time to time. "Don't be afraid." I quickly found some scissors, cut the umbilical cord, wiped the kitten clean, and wrapped it gently in a small cloth bag I had prepared. Then I quickly cleaned Coco and changed them to a more comfortable nest. A few days later, the little kitten could stagger around, and its tiny body melted my heart. My dull life now had something to rely on. After that, I was busy taking care of the kittens, and the days passed by without me noticing. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. Do you think Alexander and Zachary will come back? I stroked the belly of the egg pancake, the kitten whose umbilical cord I cut, and said to myself, Egg Pancake was the name of the kitten whose umbilical cord I cut. On ordinary days, Jojo stayed by Coco's side all day, The other two kittens were lively and fought with each other. Only Egg Pancake was especially clingy to me and nestled on me all day, unwilling to leave. I haven't seen them for half a year. I wonder what's going on outside and if they're still safe. 15. On New Year's Eve the next day, I got up early, took out the Spring Festival couplets and the character food that I had stocked up before, and started pasting them. Meow, meow. Egg Pancake meowed and followed behind me. After finishing all this, I started preparing the New Year's Eve dinner. I cut a fish from the water tank, grabbed a few reed chickens from the chicken coop, took a few reed chicken eggs, took out some frozen meat from the refrigerator to thaw, and then went to the vegetable garden and picked a handful of green vegetables. I planned to make sweet and sour fish, kung pao chicken, scrambled eggs with tomatoes, braised pig's trotters, spicy shredded pork in hot oil, and blanched green vegetables. I secretly prayed that they would come back, but I sat at the dining table and waited until 12 o'clock at night, and my hope was dashed. Happy New Year. I held Egg Pancake in my arms and said softly to it, meow. I put it down. Just as I picked up the chopsticks and was about to start eating, I heard the sound of a car outside the door. I quickly got up, after seeing Alexander and Zachary standing outside the door through the monitor. I rushed out and remotely opened the door. Before I reached the door, I saw my silly younger brother rubbing his hands and breathing out. As soon as Alexander saw me, he frowned and raised his hand to take off his overcoat. When I got close, he draped the overcoat over me. Only then did I realize that I hadn't bothered to put on a coat. Looking at his thin outer clothes, I subconsciously wanted to take off the overcoat. But he stopped me with a stern voice. It's cold outside. You're a girl and can't catch a cold. Yeah, sis, you're so reckless. Do you really miss your dear brother that much? Haha. I raised my hand and punched Zachary. You talk too much. Hurry up and get in, or you'll freeze to death. I adjusted the overcoat. There was still some warmth inside the overcoat. My face turned slightly red, and I didn't dare to look Alexander in the face. Coming quickly, after saying that, the three of us stepped inside. When we got back to the living room, I reheated the meal. The three of us had a belated reunion dinner. After I washed up and came out, I didn't know where Zachary had gone. Only Alexander was standing by the living room window, looking into the distance. 16. Perhaps he heard the sound of my footsteps. He turned around, and his cold voice came. How have you been recently? I had no choice but to step closer and casually brought up a topic. Not bad. How's it going outside? Alexander stared at the dark night outside the window again. The situation in the north has basically been brought under control. After the new year, we're going to the south. We might stay there for a year or two. I was taken aback. Would they be out of touch for a year or two? My voice trembled. When are you leaving? Early tomorrow morning. I lowered my head and remained silent for a long time, pretending not to care. I said, okay, I see. I'm a bit sleepy, so I'm going to bed. After saying that, I turned around and walked towards the room. I didn't notice Alexander, who raised his hand as if to stop me but then clenched his fist in helplessness. As soon as I got back to the room, I saw Zachary sneakily stuffing something under my pillow. I suddenly spoke, which gave him a big fright. Zachary, what are you doing? He stood up in a panic, his eyes flustered, but then they suddenly fixed on something. I followed his gaze. Just as I was about to step forward to block it, he was faster. Isn't this Brother Alexander's gun? Why is it here? Sis, is this a token of love that Brother Alexander gave you? Do you like Brother Alexander? I quickly stepped forward and took the thing away, my face turning red. Alexander gave this to me for self-defense. What token of love? You're just a kid, don't talk nonsense. And what did you put under my pillow? Seeing that I was about to turn over the pillow, Zachary became nervous. He lay down on the pillow, acting like a spoiled child. It's nothing. It's a New Year's gift. Sis, wait until I leave before you look at it. Thinking that he was going to the south, my heart became anxious again. Seeing that I was unhappy, Zachary awkwardly tried to comfort me. I couldn't stand his coy appearance, so I drove him out of the room. He was still persistent and mumbled as he walked out. Sis, don't you really like Brother Alexander? He's really nice. I'd be at ease if I entrusted you to him. I was so embarrassed that I picked up the pillow in my hand and threw it at him, and said angrily, I don't like him. Just leave already. Seeing that Zachary had really left, I walked towards the door to pick up the pillow. But then I saw a slender hand pick up the pillow before me. Alexander handed the pillow to me. His eyes filled with unfathomable light. I was so embarrassed that my toes curled. I had spoken so loudly, and he must have heard it, but he didn't mention what had just happened. He took out a bag of bullets from his pocket and handed it to me. Seeing that I didn't take it, he carefully said, This is for your self-defense. It's not a token of love. Before I could say anything, he put down the bag and walked towards the door. He even closed the door handle of the room. Just when I thought he had left, he stopped, turned his back to me, and spoke again with a glimmer of hope in his voice. If you allow it, you can treat it as a token of love. After saying that, he closed the door of the room, leaving me with a wildly pounding heart, like a deer crashing around in my chest. 17. After the new year, just as Alexander had said, he and Zachary left again. I was alone for another year. Just like before, on New Year's Eve of the new year, I spent it with the cats. There were hardly any people around. I only occasionally shot a few zombies that strayed here. No, in March of the second year of the zombie outbreak, I was suddenly awakened by a nightmare. In the dream, I was pushed into a group of zombies. I tried to run away, but my face turned into Zachary's. I watched as he was pushed into the group of zombies. I wanted to save him, but I suddenly woke up from the dream, somehow. Tears flowed from the corners of my eyes. The pillow where I had been sleeping was wet. I got up and washed up, but the cats that usually liked to surround me were all gone. Jojo, Coco, Dudu, Bibu, Egg Pancake. I called out and walked towards the living room, but I found that all the cats were huddled together. Coco whimpered and kept licking Jojo, who was lying on the ground. A sense of panic welled up in my heart, for some reason. My heart ached so much that I fell to the ground. It took me 5 or 6 minutes to recover. I slowly walked closer and found Jojo lying stiffly on the ground. It had lost its breath without any warning. I had to find a place to bury it. I felt sad, both for its death and because Zachary would never see it again. Zachary had liked Jojo the most. He used to hold it in his arms and play with it every time he came. 18. I spent another half year taking care of a female cat and 3 kittens. According to the timeline of my previous life, in half a year, there would be news that the zombie virus had been overcome. On this day, the weather was extremely hot. I was sweating all over as usual, taking care of the kittens. Finally, I heard the long-awaited sound of a car outside the door. I ran to the door. Alexander was leaning against the car door in black clothes, exhaling a cloud of smoke. The cigarette in his hand flickered on and off. When he saw me, he stood up, threw the cigarette butt on the ground, and stepped on it to put it out. Perhaps because he had been driving all night, he looked very haggard. I looked behind him, but I didn't see Zachary, who was usually lively. Maybe he didn't come this time. After all, there was a time when Zachary was on a mission and only Alexander came alone. "Aren't you coming in?" I said softly. Alexander didn't move. He just looked at me with deep eyes and said in a hoarse voice, "No, I just came to see how you were doing and give you something by the way." I felt a bit disappointed. "I'm fine. Look, I've even gained a few pounds, and Jojo has gone to heaven. What are you going to give me? And why didn't Zachary come with you? Does he not want to see his sister?" A look of pain flashed in Alexander's eyes. He clenched his fist but didn't answer. He turned around, took out a box from the car, and handed it to me. I stared at the box. The feeling of panic in my heart spread to all my limbs. I reached out my trembling hand to take it, but I didn't dare to open it. I just stared at Alexander with tears in my eyes, and the tears fell involuntarily. Alexander didn't dare to look me in the eyes. He just stared at his toes and remained silent for a long time. "I'm sorry." When I heard this, I suddenly couldn't hear anything in the world. All I could hear was the ringing in my ears. My mind went blank, and my body unconsciously fell forward. I crashed into Alexander's arms as he bent down to catch me. Sarah, 19. When I woke up, I was already in bed. I felt like I had poked my head out of a drowning world and was gasping for breath to stay alive. The box that I had held tightly in my arms before fainting was placed by the bed. Alexander was sitting on the chair in my room. When he saw me wake up, he handed me a cup of hot water. What happened to Zachary, seeing that I didn't take the water? Alexander held the cup of hot water and slowly opened his mouth after thinking for a long time. "To save a little girl." The little girl was crying in a dilapidated house. At that time, she was the only one in the house, and Zachary went in alone. But there were 6 adult zombies hiding in the house. We didn't have time. "I'm sorry. I'm really sorry." I took the box by the bed. "How long has he been gone?" "Half a year." I used all my strength to open the box. There weren't many things in it. It only contained Zachary's military uniform and a slightly rusty mechanical watch. "Alexander, you didn't keep your promise when you took him away from me." I picked up the watch and put it on my chest. It was so strange. Now I had no relatives left in this world. I was all alone, but I didn't shed a single tear. I just lay back on the bed with the watch, turned my back to Alexander, and tried to speak in the calmest tone. "You can leave. I want to be alone." I know his duty was to save people. He was just asking for trouble, and don't take what I just said to heart. Please close the door when you go out. Thank you. I didn't know if Alexander had left, but I seemed to hear the sound of the door closing. He must have left. Only when I was all alone in the world did I seem to regain control of my emotions and cried loudly under the quilt. This watch was obtained by my grandfather from a big shot during the War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and was later passed on to my father, who was also a soldier. I still remember that when my father went on his last police mission, he took off the watch on his hand. Zachary snatched it from me before I could react. He declared that this was the inheritance, and as a man, he should inherit it. I stood aside and watched as my father, who was laughing heartily, solemnly put the watch on Zachary's hand and then stroked Zachary's head. After that, my father never came back. Later, my mother was depressed and committed suicide in the morning on a bright day to accompany my father. Only me and Zachary were left. No, it was just me, 20. Alexander stayed with me in the house for 2 days. After making sure that I was really okay, he left because of his official duties. Before he left, he revealed some good news to me. The country's research on the zombie virus had entered the experimental stage, and the zombie vaccine would probably be developed soon. When I saw him to the door, he hesitated and took out a letter from his pocket and handed it to me. Open it when you go back. I hope this letter can bring you some hope. I reached out and took it, but he suddenly stepped forward and hugged me tightly. I tried to break free, but he held me even tighter. Just for a moment, please. His pleading voice came from above my head. I gradually relaxed my body and stopped struggling. After about a minute, he let me go. After insisting on watching me go back inside, he drove away. I went back to the living room and opened the envelope. The heart that I had just managed to calm down was stirred up again. The tears wet the letter paper in my hand. 21. I'm Alexander. There are some things I wanted to tell you in person, but they're too heavy for me to say. I can only convey them to you in this letter. The first time I saw you, at that time, Zachary was my new recruit. When he led you through the training ground, I caught a glimpse of you from a distance. You were wearing a cotton coat and wrapped yourself up like a ball. Your cheeks were red from the cold. The second time I saw you, I was on a rescue mission. When I saw the zombies pouncing on you, my heart suddenly skipped a beat. Fortunately, you were okay. Later, I saw you a few times in the safe zone. You were brave and strong, and you made my heart flutter. After that, I was assigned the task of escorting a medical doctor. On the way, I happened to meet Zachary. He had been looking for you. When he learned that you were still alive, for the first time, he hugged me regardless of my authority as the team captain, and he was as happy as a lively child. But I didn't expect that on the day I brought Zachary back to the safe base, we could only watch you die. On that day, Zachary cried loudly, just like you did the other day. He said that it was just a moment away, just a moment, and you could have met each other alive. I always thought that if only I could have come back earlier. But I didn't expect that I would see you alive again. Yes, I was reborn too. You were so smart. You quietly moved into my villa and wanted to turn it into a safe house. I wanted to get closer to you. So every time Zachary came back, I tried my best to come with him, just wanting to see you one more time. I think you've noticed that I have feelings for you. I'm sorry about Zachary's sacrifice, and I'm in great pain. I don't know what identity I should use to see you again. Perhaps we should take some time to calm down. Also, in the previous life, Zachary lived a good life with your share. He said that his sister wouldn't want to see him trapped in pain for the rest of his life. Now, looking at his ugly face, I quickly took out a sharp pair of scissors from the pen holder. 22. After Alexander left, he never came again. Half a year passed without me noticing. The communication suddenly resumed, and my phone had the internet again. Gradually, I could receive the news released by the country. The world was back on track. On the day I packed my luggage and prepared to move out of the villa, the long-awaited sound of a car came from outside the door. Alexander. Yeah,